John, I'm excited.
You're excited. I'm excited. Feel these nipples.
Oh man, I don't want to.
That's how excited I am. I can cut glass.
Look, man, I can see him from over here. All right. Well, it's good that you're excited. I'm excited for a lot of reasons. We have a lot of really cool news this week, but also I'm feeling under the weather, and I took a Claritin, and I've been drinking a lot of caffeine, so like, I might just be like, this might be the most on I've been in a long time. So welcome everybody to a super hyped up Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. I'm fucking Jeff.
I'm John.
Yeah. And we've got so much to talk about this week, and I'm super excited about most of it. Like it's been a real good news kind of week, you know. Guess what? Spoiler alert, everybody. There's not a Fallout 76 story this week.
Oh, shit.
I think that might be the first time in 2019 that there is nothing to complain about this week about Fallout 76. Or maybe I just didn't look far enough.
I think I saw like an article on like either Polygon or something that just said like this game is not going to be fixed and we just need to accept that.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say.
And it was a recreation of the "This is fine" meme.
Oh,
it was literally.
No, I thought you were going to say that you saw a story on Polygon that was like, hey, everybody, Fallout 76 is still bad. Just FYI. Every week we need to just make sure that we all know that. Well, I tell you what, one of the things that happened last week was the big game happened, right?
Yes. I did not watch the big game. Instead, I watched a bunch of reruns of NXT Wrestling, followed by Halftime Heat.
Yeah.
Which played during the halftime of the big game.
Yeah.
It was a great wrestling match. We talked about it on the recent episode of Geek Bombast. Go listen to it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch it because I was busy streaming the most boring game of all time. I'd like to apologize to everybody who tuned in for Sunless Skies last week. It was a last-minute change because Subnautica wouldn't run on my system. And, I mean, you know, you're just flying around fighting Cthulhu monsters.
I mean, okay.
Like,
I wasn't there, so I couldn't tell you this.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember, but we did play Sunless Seas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wasn't very action-packed or entertaining. It was a good game.
Yes.
But it was not like something that is conducive to action and a lot of exciting things happening.
Yeah.
You should have played Mutant League Football.
I probably should have played anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably should have just picked something old.
Because that's what I did early in the morning. I woke up, I turned on my Xbox and turned on Mutant League Football Dynasty Edition, and just played that for like most of the morning.
I like the idea that on Superbowl Sunday, it's like you did everything that was not football. You were like, I played mutant football, and I watched wrestling, and then a halftime show. It was like you constructed your own Super Bowl out of things that you like instead of dealing with the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's great.
But as I understand it, I mean, I'm not one to comment. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about things that are bullshit on this show. People were like, they didn't like it. The game was boring. The halftime show sucked.
Yeah, it was. So I actually do usually watch the Super Bowl because I consider. I don't hate football.
Yeah.
I don't actively go out of my way to watch football. I don't actively go out of my way to watch basketball or hockey or any of those other games. But if you give me the choice, like if you say, hey, the biggest version of this sport is happening today, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Because something good's supposed to happen.
Okay.
Typically. But yeah, I've heard nothing but like this game was boring. Neither team was scoring. Like just like it was like they were both trying to lose, so neither had to go to the White House or something like that.
That's a real. I like that. I like that as an idea of what was happening there. They're both just like, all right, guys, we got to get out there. We got to suck hard. I don't want to eat cold McDonald's. All right, get out there and give it your worst.
We got word. It's cold Taco Bell.
Oh no, it's bad Taco Bell this time, and it's nacho fries, and everybody knows that those are the worst when they're cold. But the Super Bowl did give us some trailers.
Yeah, no, it did.
And I don't know if this first trailer was actually part of the Super Bowl. I think pretty sure it came out before that because I heard people talking about it before that. But the Hobbs and Shaw trailer is amazing.
Yeah, it came out a little bit before it. Yes.
For anybody who doesn't know, anybody who's not up on their Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw are The Rock and Jason Statham's characters, respectively, who have been in the last, 3 or 4 Like Jason Statham was the bad guy in
He killed Han.
That's right.
That motherfucker killed Han. I will never forgive him.
But now they got to team up because apparently Vin Diesel is either tired or busy or whatever.
There's actually a whole thing behind the scenes about this movie.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it sometime.
Okay.
It's a whole thing.
Okay. Well, let's not get into it now.
Vin Diesel's not happy about this movie existing.
Oh, well, I can imagine because they're spinning off of his franchise. And so, yes, now it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham as a super cop and a super criminal teaming up to go up against superhuman Idris Elba. Like he's got a crackdown.
It's evil Captain America.
Okay.
He's an agent, a government soldier who was experimented on and turned into a bulletproof superhero.
That's awesome.
That then turned evil.
That's awesome. Every part of this trailer is dumb as fuck, and I love it so much.
Yeah, no, it looks great. It looks stupid and retarded and just fucking like
one-liners and action and all parts of this just look real dumb, and I kind of want to see it right now. Like if I could go to the theater instead of recording this podcast, I think I might do that.
It's literally going to turn out to this is like the new superhero franchise universe.
Yeah.
Who knew Fast and the Furious was going to be the next cinematic universe that everyone was going to be excited for?
Well, one thing that I can say from the trailers is just like, I don't know, because, Jason Statham has been in a lot of kind of movies, and The Rock has not exactly been a cinematic tour de force. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I like The Rock, but, did any of you actually watch Skyscraper, Rampage?
I wanted to watch Rampage.
Yeah, but then you didn't, right?
Well, no, I haven't seen a lot of movies.
But like just watching the two of them like go back and forth with each other, I'm just like, yay! It's a fun, dumb action movie full of stuff. Woo!
Yeah. It looks like a dumb action movie, and I am totally for it. I think it's great. Like even if it had no connection to Fast and the Furious, and I saw this trailer, I'd be like, okay,
yeah,
I'm for it. Let's do it.
I mean, also I love Idris Elba, and so you put him. And has he been a bad guy in something? I don't remember him being a bad guy in that
outside of like Luther, maybe.
Morally ambiguous. I do what has to be done. I'm
joking on that, but yeah, no, I don't think he's been a bad guy. And he looks like he's having fun playing a bad guy. So
yeah, it's great. I mean, all three of these actors have dynamite charisma, and so to see them all in the same movie, I'm just like, fuck yes, that looks like a summer movie that I want to go see. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum from evil Captain America, we got good Captain America. And on the opposite end of the spectrum of a really fun and bright, colorful movie that looks like it's going to be just a shit-kicking good time, we got another depressing Avengers trailer, which, I mean, at this point in the franchise, things are low. But a lot of this is just like, half of everybody's gone, and what are we going to do? And the only thing about this trailer that really, really hyped me up was I realized that in Infinity War that Captain America didn't have his shield, he didn't have his hat on, he had the beard and everything. Yeah. And just seeing Captain America, with the shield and the hat and all that or the cowl.
So it's an interesting looking trailer, and
there's not a lot. I mean, it's 30
there's
seconds.
Not a lot. There is some stuff that people have combed over the video to realize is that there's scenes where there's a bunch of them together. Mm-hmm. There's weird spacing between the actors in certain spots, and people are thinking that there might be characters digitally removed.
That Captain Marvel's supposed to be there.
Well, that Captain Marvel could be in one of the scenes. Also, maybe in another one, maybe it's not supposed to be Banner there. Maybe it's supposed to be the Hulk, or maybe it's supposed to be Banner and somebody else.
Okay.
Because, and again, that's all theorizing. Who cares? I'm more thinking is the fact the recent news that came out. This movie's possibly going to be 3 hours long, maybe longer, and possibly could have an intermission in the middle of it.
Yay! Finally gave us a chance to go to the bathroom. Fuck you, Lord of the Rings. Actually, I just like long video games, movies that are 2.5 hours long. I'm like, you guys, I'm going to have to pee, all right? You put me in this cold-ass theater, and I'm drinking beer or soda. I'm going to have to pee at some point. So either you want me to miss 7 minutes of your movie, or, like, just give me let's all go stretch our legs for a minute. Bring back the intermission. I'm all # bring back the intermission. And last but not least, from the Super Bowl, I didn't actually really know that I wanted this until I saw it. We saw the
I was on board for it when it was announced.
Okay, Twilight Zone promo with Jordan Peele.
He is the showrunner.
Yeah, and I what I really liked about it was he makes a good Rod Serling, because it's just kind of him walking around doing the little Rod Serling monologue.
And I like the way that they tied this commercial into the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like they even got like the actual building that the Super Bowl is in. They filmed it very clearly. Filmed this all before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked really, really well.
I can only imagine what it was like as you were watching, because it literally starts with like you're coming back from commercial, and then there's a blip and CBS is off the air, and then Jordan Peele is talking about you're entering another dimension.
Yeah, it looks great. Amanda's like, we might have to get CBS All Access. And I'm like, all right, fine, that's another one.
I'm going to say if they get 3 more shows I want to see, but because I'm not sold on Star Trek, I kind of want to see this, but then I need more than just 2 shows.
Well, Amanda really wants to see this, and and we're kind of sort of interested in Star Trek, even though we haven't watched it, and we don't have a dire need to watch it.
Yeah.
But also, I don't have regular TV, and I love NCIS, and if I'm not mistaken, it's also they put the episodes on the app, so I can at least watch that.
The fact that you so love NCIS is just so it's like there's just regular John, but lurking inside him is like a 65-year-old man who wants to see NCIS. God damn it!
Shit, if Matlock was still on, I'd watch some Matlock or some Murder, She Wrote.
Well, there you go.
I like police procedurals.
Okay,
I can't help it.
All right, fair enough.
Ingrained in my DNA or whatever.
I like watching bad courtroom movies, so I'm not one to judge. I've seen Runaway Jury more times than any person should watch that movie.
I've seen that movie a few times. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. So, all right, we got a lot to talk about this week, so let's jump back in. We've got I think 3 big kind of tent poles. We've got a 3-legged stool here of big announcements, big things that happened this week.
A tripod of news, if you will.
There you go. And then a bunch of other stuff. So, first things first, Xbox had their Inside Xbox event stream announcement.
Yeah, so essentially Inside Xbox is they're promoting it like a series, like they're going to do one every so often, and there's seasons, and this is the first of the new season.
And everything's got to have a motherfucking season.
Yeah.
So this came with a bunch of announcements.
Yes.
And not all of these are great. I mean, some of these are just kind of like pass them by. The first one is that they're changing the name of Microsoft Studios to Xbox Game Studios.
Makes sense.
Which, I mean,
it doesn't really affect anything, but it makes sense.
I mean, cool.
Well, the problem is from what I understand, the studio wanted to be called Xbox Game Studios, but Microsoft was against it. And then now Microsoft is like, all right, fine.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know, whatever. The next thing is we don't have any new information on that Halo game that was teased, last year before?
Yeah.
Remember? Was it last year?
Was there a Halo game teased?
You remember it had like just the concept demo stuff?
Right, yeah.
Big Halo ring and everything.
No game news, but there is something Halo related.
Yep, if you want to go to a weird roving Halo theme park, you can. This is called Halo Outpost Discovery, and it's going to be a touring Halo experience.
Yeah, it's going to 5 cities, if I remember correctly. Over the course, in each city, it'll be in there for 3 days only.
Mm-hmm. So Orlando, Philly, Chicago, Houston, and Anaheim.
Yeah. So we can totally go. It's like a 3-hour drive from where we live, Jeff.
Yeah, but I mean, how much does it cost? Is it going to be
I have no idea.
Like fucking, well, here, there's a big button that says buy tickets. Let's just see first off, are they sold out? Okay, let's just take a look. Like if John and I wanted to go, Houston, Texas, buy tickets, 3-day VIP ticket is $320, and then you also got to go to Houston for 3 days.
I've got family in Houston. I'm good.
Damn.
But, things
anyway.
that they have, things that they're going to have, they talked about. They're going to have like a laser tag game that people can play. They're also going to have like a shooting range. Where
a lot of like mobile
They're also going to have
VR.
like a VR game, some type of VR game is going to be also there. And then, competitive VR is what they said it was.
Yeah.
And then and then like little rooms you can go in that give like history, like a museum.
Yeah,
that gives the history of the Halo world as if it was a real place.
It's okay. So I'll tell you what I find a little weird about this is I'm just curious, and I'm like, I know how this question is going to sound when I ask it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just want to know from people, like, are people still into Halo? Because I've heard nothing but complaints about the last 2 Halos that came out. 4 and 5 were like, I mean, like, at least the story, right? I don't know if people are.
The multiplayer is still pretty strong.
Okay.
And I'll even say the Master Chief Collection, they've been supporting the Master Chief Collection even after that. Like they still, like, they made updates to it like a few months ago.
Okay.
They're still doing and tweaking things. And so I know the community there is still really big because Halo multiplayer is always big, whatever. I am kind of one of those people that when you have Halo in front of me, I'm enjoying it. But when I'm not looking at Halo, I don't care. But I will say, God damn, that Halo music is so good.
It is exceptional.
It is some of the best video game music out there.
Good. Well, I guess the reason that I ask is because this seems like it's catering more to Halo's story, right? This isn't. I mean, like, they do have the laser tag and the kind of the multiplayer thing, but like, it seems like it's more of a full package, like, for a full Halo fan. So I guess I'm just curious to know how many people are still way into Halo.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think this is also going to gate like this. Like, I feel like this is something that should have been done,
like, post 4 or something.
Yeah, like, I don't know if this is not the height of the Halo hype.
Right.
We're kind of in the crevasse of the Halo hype.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of in the chasm of it. I can't really think of a better word. I'm trying to think of a better word for it.
The sewer, as you will.
Well, I mean, we're not there
sewer.
yet,
No,
but yeah, I mean, we're heading down. It's a downward trend at the moment. But you know, it's popular with the Xbox bros. So you know,
okay. I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of that Halo game, because last time that it was at E3 when they showed that, they said that this was like super early. But I feel like they might be trying to ramp back into trying to maybe do a little bit of a reset, let people chill out from Halo 5, and then kind of maybe they could bring back a new one that's strong. But anyway, Crackdown 3. We got a bunch of different things for Crackdown 3. We got a launch trailer, which basically just kind of showed more of the Crackdown. I mean, you know, it was dudes what are in power suits running around blowing up a bunch of stuff.
They talked about how there's 2 modes. There's the single player game, which does not have any of the destructible stuff, but there's a story to it. There's also, but now the multiplayer totally has that cloud computing, fully destructible environment multiplayer. And I forget what it's called. It's actually like a specific mode that you can play.
Okay.
But they talked about it, and I actually have seen video of it, and it looks kind of interesting. But yeah, it's I think they also are giving away Crackdown 1 for free right now.
Yes, they are.
I apologize if that was a news item that I'm skipping ahead to.
That's fine. No, apparently, yes, you can now download Crackdown 1 and the backwards compatibility and totally play it.
I am actually a little annoyed. I know a lot of people didn't like Crackdown 2.
Uh-huh.
I didn't hate it. But a lot of people didn't like it because it was too much of the same. Like, not enough was changed from it. Apparently Microsoft hates Crackdown 2 because Crackdown 2 was never made backwards compatible. Okay. Which the rumors that there was some music in it that is causing copyright issues to keep them from doing it. That's the rumor. That
would be weird though, because like that game, it's on a disc, right? I mean, like it's
so it's not backwards compatible on the X, because to be backwards compatible, it also has to be available digitally. That's where the copyright issue would come in. So, and apparently, according to this game, they're saying that 2 is not the true sequel to Crackdown 1. 3 is the true sequel. They're completely ignoring 2.
Wow.
And technically, I think I heard one of the people say that they're ignoring the ending of Crackdown.
Okay.
Which also doesn't make sense.
This game is a mess. This game is kind of a mess between the delays and the taking stuff out, and you know, I don't think this one's going to be good. Like all the earmarks from my time in video games scream this is not going to be a good game. Like
I've read or I've watched YouTube videos of people who got invited out to Microsoft events and actually got to play the game and what their opinions on what they played were, which all of them have said pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
If you liked Crackdown 1, you will like this game. If you hated Crackdown 1, there is absolutely nothing that's going to change your mind because this is just more Crackdown.
So
and
the Kingdom Hearts way of doing things.
This is just more Crackdown.
Yeah.
And don't expect it to rock the boat, which also I feel like
it looks so much like Agents of Mayhem. It looks so much like Agents of Mayhem to me. And I know that Agents of Mayhem was probably aping Crackdown, but like it just looks like they gave you they've given you a lot of ways to blow stuff up in a cybernetic future. And
well, funny enough, I feel like Agents of Mayhem is aping Saints Row 4 with a new world or whatever.
Right.
Saints Row 4 was totally aping Crackdown.
Okay.
Like all the orb collecting and all that stuff, that's right out of Crackdown.
Okay.
But Crackdown is one of those games that you can it is the ultimate sandbox game in my opinion. It is in a lot of ways very similar to Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. And I think one of their developers compared themselves to Breath of the Wild, though it's not the same type of game. In that literally they give you an open world and they just say, go. Like, we're not going to tell you how to play it. We're not going to tell you which order to do things. If you want to go to the boss from the very beginning, you can. It's going to be hard as hell, but go do it. So, and that's kind of the way all of the Crackdowns have been.
Yeah.
Is that it's a giant sandbox. There's a little bit of story to explain why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's just in there for you to go. The biggest thing I'm worried about with Crackdown 3 is that you have games like Breath of the Wild that are so polished and so well done, and they're not while you can just go to the world and do whatever, there is some guidance.
Well, you have an objective.
Yeah.
Go do this, go do that.
And that's and there is an objective in this game as well. But also, you have other games that have done the open world sandbox like the Just Cause franchise and
so I was just thinking about
you said Agents of Mayhem and you've had so many other games that have done it and done it really well that if this is just exactly the way Crackdown was,
it's like we've evolved. Those types of games have evolved to be better than what Crackdown 1 was, and so if you're just basing it on
I actually reinstalled Crackdown 1 recently, and not because they were giving it away for free. I actually own it.
Right.
And I actually decided I wanted to play it the other day.
Yeah.
And it feels dated. It's still a good game.
Yeah.
Like, I still enjoyed playing it, but it feels dated.
To be honest, like what I keep thinking when I see Crackdown 3 is it reminds me of Just Cause, where it makes for a very good trailer, but like none of the Just Cause games have ever really like hooked my attention. Like the stuff you can do in them is fun, but that fun, the first time that you blow up something massive at Just Cause 4 and you're just like, yeah! And the second time you're like, yeah. And the third time you're like, okay. And then it's just like, well, I got to go blow up another huge base with.
I think the other big mistake with this game is, so in Crackdown 1, they released a DLC that allowed you to do 2-player co-op in Crackdown 1.
Okay.
Crackdown 2 had 4-player co-op.
Okay.
Which was a lot of fun if you had 3 other friends to play with. A lot of fun. Crackdown 3 is apparently going back to 2-player co-op.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people are kind of like,
I don't know. We'll see. And we'll see soon because next Friday is when this game comes out.
Because I'm on the fence with this, I actually broke down and did the sign up for 1 month for $1 for the Game Pass thing.
Okay.
So I am ready to play this game when it comes out.
I also, just briefly before we move on, I also think that if Crackdown 3 is like, if you're not confident that it's really going to like get a high Metacritic score and good word of mouth and that it's going to be very impressive, I don't know why you would release it on the same day, literally, as Metro, Jump Force, that new Far Cry game, and the EA early access for Anthem. Like, it just seems like the worst time to put that out right in the middle of 4 other games, which I feel like each one of those games offers some stuff that Crackdown might offer, but in a better way.
I will say, I feel like, yes, it is unfortunate, and there's probably a very specific reason why they chose that date, and it's just unfortunate that it fell. But I honestly feel like it's at this point where, because it's been in development for so long, because it's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, I think Microsoft's just like, we don't fucking care, get it out the door.
That's the impression that I get as well. I really don't feel very much love.
Which is interesting, because if you actually look at the history of the Crackdown games, Microsoft has never had faith in the Crackdown games when they come out. The first Crackdown game, they literally had so little faith in it that they went, let's package it with a beta for Halo 3.
Oh, right. Yep.
And then that'll sell the game. And then, you have to actually have the game and actually have to launch the beta from within Crackdown to access that beta. Like, it wasn't a code. You actually go into Crackdown and launch beta.
I like the idea that there's a meter that fills up that's like, you have to play Crackdown for 45 minutes before you can play the Halo beta.
And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But, and then when they did the sequel, and then people went, whoa, this Crackdown game is actually a lot of fun. Like, oh, this is really fun. And they're like, oh, man, it sold so much because of that Halo. And then they went, well, we're going to do Crackdown 2. And we're going to throw in another beta. Just, I think it was beta for something else. I can't remember what it was.
Gears or Halo, probably.
I think it might have been like ODST or something like that. One of the side, or Reach or something. I can't remember. But they were like, we're going to throw in another beta for Crackdown. And then, but outside of that beta, it was like, we don't really have a lot. You could tell Microsoft had no faith in either game, and that when it did succeed, Microsoft was puzzled by it.
Yep.
And then this one, it was like they went in going, yeah, people are going to be really excited about this. It's going to be the biggest thing because of how the others did. And then the more they started going, they're like, maybe it's not going to be good. Yeah, let's just release it.
All right.
And so I'm going to laugh if it actually does get good reviews. It actually does get
I'm never rooting against a game. It just doesn't feel
because
like a game.
I mean, the games aren't the best games in the world. They have their problems. The Crackdown 1 and 2 are not anywhere near the best games in the world, but they were fun.
Okay.
And I think that was the thing, is that they were surprisingly fun. And as long as this one is surprisingly fun, I'm happy.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see next Friday. Well, Microsoft might not have a lot of faith in Crackdown, but they apparently do have quite a bit of faith in Sea of Thieves.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have Sea of Thieves, apparently from now until February 13th, if you sign up on their website, you'll get 3 keys that somebody else can use to essentially install the game and play for free. So you can play with 3 friends for, by the time this podcast comes out, like 4 or 5 days. Which is fine. I mean, apparently Sea of Thieves is the thing that they're going to keep doing. Like
I said, I subscribe to the Xbox Game Pass, so I've been debating on
playing it.
But at the same time, I just don't. I don't have a desire.
I want to log back in at some point to find out whether the stuff that they've been adding to it has made the game better. But I'm torn between whether I should. I actually watched somebody who did a video about, like, is it worth playing now? And they were like, it's better, but it's still not exactly like, the greatest. Let's see. There's some other stuff that's going on here. There's a new controller that they're putting out that's red.
Oh, yeah.
Sport red, ugly ass Xbox controller. I don't know. I think it's kind of ugly. It's all red. Like, it's all red with some little triangle patterns on it. I don't know. It's like, and when I say all red, I mean like all red.
Yeah.
Like every single thing on it is red.
You could actually go make this controller in their their controller lab.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't have the little hex grid pattern that's on the arms of the controller, but like you can make this controller in their little game thing.
I don't know. It's just one of those things that they announced. There was a new Jump Force trailer that was part of this.
Yes, they finally announced a character that had gotten leaked online weeks ago.
Yep. So some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure folks, Jotaro and Dio, are in here. They showed the trailer with their stands. John, how are you feeling about Jump Force? Are you excited for it?
I mean, I'm interested if it's good.
Yeah.
But I'm not I'm not like super like I'm gonna go buy that game or anything. I'm just like, I'll play it if I get a chance. Like, if you don't end up handing over a copy to somebody else on the site, I might borrow it from you. If you
Michael, have to fight for it.
I don't. I'll let him have it, man. He'd probably enjoy it more. But it's like I'll play it if I can. Like I won't turn down playing it. Like I'm interested, but I'm not like.
Again, it's so strange. It must be like the end of the quarter or some financial call or something.
It is.
Because putting that out on like next Tuesday, there is Dick out. There is Richard Garbage is coming out on Tuesday. There is nothing good coming out on Tuesday, and there are like 4 AAA games coming out on Friday. If but one of them came out on Tuesday, I feel like it could get a jump on the rest of these games, and I have no idea why they don't put out one of them, because it seems like, I mean, I know that the audiences for those 4 games are different, right? But you're not, the Crackdown audience is probably not the same as the Jump Force audience, probably not the same as the Metro audience, but like, I don't know. It feels to me like if you were a gamer and you had $60 to spend this month on a game and these were the big 4 that were coming out, you weren't going to buy all of them. You're going to buy one of them. You're going to pick the one that looks the best. You're going to buy that. So why compete with all the rest of them? Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you.
It's just upsetting to me. Anyway, and then last but not least, Devora is going to be in. There's some other stuff. Like there was some stuff with there was that one game that they announced at the Game Awards at the studio where they just had a bunch of people talking about our vision for the future. But the other big thing that happened was that Devora was announced for Mortal Kombat 11.
No footage, just showed a picture.
Yep. And that was in addition to Kano is going to be in there as well.
So that same day that this happened, on
there was a combat cast.
NetherRealms had a combat cast in which they announced
Cabal
on that combat cast, and then also apparently they had a live event in like Brazil, in which they announced Kano.
Yes, so lots of new information, and then there was a roster where people saw that Cassie Cage is in there as well.
Yeah, well, we saw her in the trailer.
Was she in the trailer?
She is in the trailer very quick, and you blink and you'll miss her kind of thing.
In the Cabal trailer?
No. In the actual, like, from the reveal thing, from the actual event, Mortal Kombat event.
Oh, the Xbox thing?
No, the actual event.
Mortal Brazil.
Kombat.
Okay.
No. The actual Mortal Kombat event that they threw like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago.
Oh.
Where they actually announced the game and showed it off. And
oh, wow. Okay. I totally missed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Cabal, it was the one who got an actual like gameplay trailer. I've always been a big fan of Cabal because he's a fucking wackadoo weirdo.
Yeah, in like one game he's a superhero, and another game he's a villain character. And
yep, here he seems to be kind of evil, but who can say? And I like his moveset. I watched a little bit of that combat cast, checking out his moveset. He's got a lot of reach with the 2 like hooks that he has, and he still has that run move, the spin run move, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're giving us characters that were missing from the last couple of games.
Yeah. Again, as we talked about when the Mortal Kombat 11 announcements happened, I'm super excited for Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh yeah, I'm on board. Like there's, like I'm on board for Mortal Kombat 11. Like I need to actually go pre-order it.
Yeah, get that Shao Kahn.
To get that Shao Kahn. Yeah. Like Amanda like looked at me and was like, "You're pre-ordering it, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You're pre-ordering it, right?"
Like,
I need Shao Kahn. It's like, all right, man.
Yeah, everything I've seen of this, I even watched a little bit of the combat cast where they were doing some stuff. It was kind of weird at the end where they had like the 2 of the guys in that cast were like fighting for like the belt, and they were both kind of bad at or not bad, but just. I mean, I don't know. They were about as good as I am on an off day at Mortal Kombat. I was like, can't you guys get some people who really know what they're doing? In any case, all this stuff is great. Devora, she looks a little bizarre. She doesn't have the hood on this time.
Yeah, she doesn't have clothes on.
Yeah, so she's like a little bit more insectoid looking than she was before.
Yeah.
Some people I think have said that Kano looks a little dry.
Kano looks like a professional wrestler Austin Aries.
That's what Amanda was saying.
Yeah, like it literally, if you do a search for Austin Aries in Google pictures and look at this guy, it's like, it looks exactly like him.
Yeah. Which apparently there were some people that were not happy with Kano's design. And NetherRealm came out and said, let's see. Yeah, I could see it. Came out and said that they have some, that they've got all the customization stuff for him. There's a picture of him where he looks like a pirate.
Yeah, it's
got
an
like
alt
a pirate hat
costume.
on.
It's an alt costume that
Yeah.
they announced. I think it's exclusive to Brazil.
I do not know. Why do pirates got to be exclusive to Brazil?
But it's like exclusive in the Brazil version of the game. But if you want to get it as a DLC in other regions, you can get it as a DLC.
Okay.
But it's a thing specifically for them. I think I don't remember exactly. It was something like that.
Okay. So yeah, we got plenty of that. Another thing that happened was there was there was a weird thing where Ed Boon retweeted the Shaggy in Mortal Kombat.
That was just them having fun.
Yeah, and then but then somebody made like a petition that had like 350,000 signatures.
Well, that was
before
he posted this. That was what spawned this.
Oh, okay. And then they said, "Nah, bro, that's not.
Yeah,
that's
it's not going to happen."
Which, for those of you who aren't on the internet all the time, the new
Ultra Instinct Shaggy is a thing.
Yeah, somebody went to the Wikipedia page and edited Shaggy's Wikipedia entry, and that spawned a whole bunch of new memes about Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
So this is actually kind of an old meme that got recently resurrected.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of it's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into the explanation of it. It's not. It's weird because it was like a thing, and then like there was no talk about it for like 6 months, and then it became a thing again.
Okay.
And then now that's all everyone talks about.
All right, fair enough. Well, speaking of things that everybody's talking about, let's talk about Apex Legends. So this week, Respawn Entertainment just kind of out of nowhere dropped Apex Legends. Which is a battle royale game set in the Titanfall universe with 60 people, squads of 3. If you haven't watched our video, go watch the video on it. John, have you played this yet?
No, I have not.
I have been playing this game obsessively.
I know you have.
So I've always maintained that there hasn't been a battle royale game for me just yet because PUBG was a little bit too dry and Arma-ish. Yeah. Fortnite had the build thing, and I just didn't get into that. There have been a few others out there. Call of Duty, I don't know, you just die so easily in Call of Duty, and I'm not good at Call of Duty. But this, I like Titanfall's. I liked Titanfall 1's multiplayer, and I like Titanfall 2's multiplayer a lot. And it's not quite the same as that because you don't have as much of that like wall running parkour, zippy zappa and all over the place.
And there's no Titans.
Right, and there are no Titans. But as a battle royale game, it does a lot of really, really interesting things. Like it's got mandatory 3-person squads, so you're always in a squad, which means that whenever you catch somebody out in the world, I had to train myself because you'll find somebody out in the world and kill them and I'm just like, yeah, and then my brain's like, hey, dumb, there's 2 more, and I'm just like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. But it's free to play. It's got microtransactions in it. There are 2 of the heroes that are locked behind you can buy them with the premium currency, or you can buy them with a lot of the currency that you get per round in game. But it's got that Titanfall 2. I feel like we all forget from time to time that Respawn was built by Weston Zampella, and that Weston Zampella single-handedly changed the way that multiplayer gaming worked with Call of Duty, right? Yeah. They know how to make a good feeling video game. Yeah. And that's the thing about Apex Legends that I love so much is that it feels really good to play. So anyway, that came out this week, and we've got some interesting kind of things to talk about when it comes out, or about it. There's a really interesting quote here that was during, I think this was during the reveal event. Executive producer Drew McCoy said in an interview, not to be throwing EA under the bus, but this wasn't the game that they were expecting. I had to go to executives, show it to them and explain it, and not convince, but more, quote, hey, trust us, this is the thing you want out of us. As a corporation, they can only quantify based on past data, and they've never done anything like this before. There's a giant rainbow question mark over revenue projections for this game. They're like, we don't know, we can't predict. This is a game where we had to say, this is what we want to do, help us get there, and they had no hand in development or anything about the game. And I think it's really interesting that they have such a weird That's such a weird quote, but then it makes sense when you remember that, like, one, EA right now has a really bad reputation of just like, we're just going to put it out regardless of how crappy it is. We're just going to shove what we want into gamers. And then two, I think it's really interesting because EA has been fucking Respawn hard. Like, they put out Titanfall 2, what was that, right? Like between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty, what was World War II, right? They put out Titanfall and then we're just like, oh, well, it didn't sell as well as we expected. It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You put it out between the two biggest multiplayer games of the year, and like, and one of those was your game. Like, you made it compete with your tentpole title for market share. Because I think that Titanfall 2 is great. I think it's an amazing game. Yeah. I think the single player is great. I think the multiplayer was fun. Like, I liked...
Never played it.
Oh, it's so good. I kind of want to do a sequential on it. I just need to find a place to put it. But because it's not that long and it's fun. And I thought that they really got boned by EA. I also find it really weird that they would have to, like, get EA to let them do a battle royale game. Like, EA strikes me as the sort of company that would just be following in the footsteps of everybody else.
So I feel like normally, yes. I feel like right now EA is kind of on their tippy toes when it comes to any game that would have microtransactions. I feel like 3 years ago, EA totally would have been like, yeah, do it.
Right.
And then right now they're like, I don't know if we want to get involved in that. Cause
you want to have another game with microtransactions? Yeah.
Are you sure you want to release it for free? Because, I mean, we could probably sell it for $60 and have the free only? Okay, well.
Because, I mean, Michael, when we were playing it, he was pretty amazed, and I was too, that, like, there's a lot in that game. Like, a lot of these battle royale games come out as like early access, or they're kind of bare bones, but like there's a lot of skins. There's like 6 free hero characters that all have like their own powers and ultimates, and then like just the layout of the way that the game world is put up. I don't know, it's been amazing, and I'm really glad, because one of the other things that we saw this week was that we saw that they got like 1 million players or something like that in the first 8 hours, which is great, because of all the horrible corporations that Electronic Arts has bought and then fucked, like, I'd rather that Respawn get to do stuff. I feel like Respawn has been hamstrung a little bit. I'd like to see. I wish that they could do the same thing that Bungie did, where they just split from the company and then go do their own thing. Because I'd like to see what West and Zampella do when they're not under, because they were under Activision's thumb for years, and now they're under EA's thumb, and it's like, God, go work for Ubisoft or somebody. At least they'll let you do something weird. But anyway, in addition to that, we got a roadmap. So there's going to be March, June, September, and December. They're going to be doing battle passes like Fortnite does, where you can buy the battle pass, and each battle pass will have a new legend character, new weapons, and new types of loot that are in the map. I don't know if you're going to be able to, if they're going to do like Fortnite with a split track, where there's like, if you just level up normally, you get certain things, but then if you buy the battle pass, then you get other things. And then in Fortnite, I'm pretty sure that you can actually buy the battle pass with the in-game currency, and then if you play all the way to the end of the current battle pass, you'll have enough to buy whatever the next one is. It'll be interesting to see. The one drawback that I have right now is that, there are only 8 total hero characters, so it's going to be, there's a lot of room for them to grow, and I'd like to see what all happens with that. You mentioned that there aren't Titans in the game. There was actually an interview where they talked about that, and I won't quote it verbatim, but it was kind of interesting because they basically said, like, we tried so hard, but like there just wasn't a place, because like you don't want to make it like so that there's only one Titan on the map, but if you get that Titan, then you're like Thanos in Fortnite, like you're invincible. And on the other hand, if we depower the Titans, then it doesn't feel good to get in a Titan and then just have it get torn up in a second. So they went around and around and around on it. Apparently they were just like,
oh, I actually am not upset with them not putting Titans in the game. I think especially if this is something that's not supposed to be like a direct sequel to Titanfall, like this is supposed to be some kind of side thing that just happens to take place in the same universe, I'm fine with there not being Titans.
Yeah. I actually think that I think that Respawn and Titanfall in general don't get enough credit for the weapons in those games, like the not Titan parts of those games, like just the on foot parts of those games, which are really fun and fast and good all by themselves. So yeah, if you're wondering why there aren't Titans, that's why there's not Titans. And apparently, speaking of Titans, I got some conflicting information here because apparently Titanfall 3 is not currently in development.
No.
So Respawn said that they are basically going to be focusing on this for at least the foreseeable future.
Well, there
is something in the Titanfall universe that's being developed.
They said that this is their focus right now. However, there is another team that is working on something that is Titanfall related in the same way that this game is.
Right.
So it's not a Titanfall 3 title. It's not Titanfall 3 specifically. It's something else.
Yeah.
And then they're also working on their Star Wars game.
Yes. I was gonna ask if you knew. You think that might be a mobile game?
I'm actually, that's what was my immediate reaction. I was like, oh, it's probably some type of mobile game.
Well,
or an RTS of some kind, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Like, because a lot of people have been thinking, because the way that they've been very hush-hush about it.
Yeah.
It's because they've been very like, it's completely different than anything we've ever made before. And everyone's like, Titans, Battlefields, RTS. It's got to be an RTS.
Met Commander, spiritual sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Or maybe it's a mobile RTS.
But we do know that Andrew Wilson said that other spin-off game is a paid title. It's not going to be a free-to-play title. So, like, my first instinct is mobile. I don't know. You'd have a lot of...
As soon as he said it's a paid title, my instinct is it's not mobile.
Yeah. I hope not.
But I still think it could be like an RTS or some type of turn-based strategy. Or
did that Command and Conquer game come out on phones?
It probably did.
Did they put that out? I don't even know. Well, speaking of EA, there was this week we had a snippet of a conversation where Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, was talking about their relationship with EA, and he said that he was super happy. Here's a quote. We're good at making movies and television shows and theme parks and cruise ships and the like. We've just never managed to demonstrate much skill on the publishing side of games, Iger said. We've found over the years that we haven't been particularly good at the self-publishing side, but we've been great at the licensing side, which obviously doesn't require that much allocation of capital. It's weird. This is frustrating to me because I feel like Disney has been on the verge of doing well. It's just that I feel like their expectation is that they start up a game division, and then when the first game they put out doesn't sell like Call of Duty numbers, they're just like, it's a failure. Shut it down. Like, I think the Disney Infinity sold relatively well, right? I mean,
it did.
They have 3 games. What was that? Blur, when they published that, and then they canned the studio because it didn't sell enough. And I don't know. It almost just feels like they just are infected with that EA disease.
If I'm not mistaken, they did to prior to Blur, they did that to 2 other game companies. Like, they bought a studio, had them make a game, published it. It didn't sell as well. They shut the studio down.
Right.
Bought a different studio, had them make a game. They didn't do very well. They shut the studio down, fired everybody, and started over again. I
don't know. It seems like they don't want to put in the work, right? Is that you may be able to do this, but you might have to eat a few when it comes to these. Like, if you created a studio and that studio's been around for 5 years and every game they put out has been a horrible dud, fine. But Disney, man, Avengers and Star Wars and fucking Disney and the Muppet Show. I mean, they got everything, man. Just do the work, motherfucker. Bring LucasArts back.
Yeah. So I mean, I will say I'm actually okay with them licensing. I just wish they wouldn't do exclusive licensing. I feel like that's where Star Wars is getting boned hard.
Yeah.
Is because you still have, look at Marvel's side. You still have people making games for Marvel. There is no exclusive Marvel licensing with a specific company. You have, this company making a game for the Switch.
Square's making one.
Square's making a game. Team Ninja's making a game. It's different people are making different games.
Right.
And I feel like, again, Star Wars, the reason we don't have more Star Wars titles and more variety of Star Wars titles, which is actually my biggest issue, is that every one that's been released since this exclusivity deal has happened has either been a mobile game or has been a first-person fucking shooter.
Yep.
and I want more variety.
Just something, anything. Third person. I mean, pick a genre and rip it off. RTS, RPG. Third person action adventure, fucking walking simulator. Like, take your pick. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't know. I guess it seems weird that Disney is such a money hungry machine that they managed to monetize pretty much every single thing in the world, but for some reason they can't figure out video games. And it's like, well, just hire. Like,
hire younger people that understand video games.
Well, hire Andrew Wilson. Go hire one of the CEOs of one of these companies. I mean, maybe not Andrew Wilson, maybe not Yves Guillemot or Bobby Kotick or somebody like that. But like, go find somebody that's got a ton of experience. Go get Jack Tretton and drag him and then be like, you're going to run our games division. You know what it's like not a game developer, but like one of these CEOs that actually knows what the fuck they're doing instead of this weird wishy-washy bullshit. But anyway, speaking of EA, a few more things. Apparently, and speaking of the whole thing that we were just talking about with sales, apparently Battlefield 5 did not meet expectations. And we all know what that means. It only sold like 7.3 million copies instead of like 8.5 million, which was what they projected. And so it's a dismal failure, John. It's a dismal failure. It only sold 7.3 million copies of Battlefield.
How much does the game cost to make?
I had no idea. I mean, it only took 2 years, right? I mean, it was DICE post Battlefield 1.
Because I feel like every time one of these like reports comes out, it's like, if you tell me the game cost to make $5 million, which I don't feel like games cost that much to make, but I could be wrong.
No.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you pay a lot of people. You have to pay voice actors. You have to pay animators. You have to pay people, artists. You have to pay every person who does a single job. That's all part of the cost. So maybe it does cost that much. But it's like if you say, oh, we paid $5 million and we made $7 million back. Shut the fuck up. You made a profit, motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a thing that I've been seeing kind of kicking around the internet a little bit. I was actually reading some disturbing stuff about Patreon in this respect of just like...
Oh, yeah, no, Patreon's been fucking hard.
The idea that companies want to see this exponential... Okay, you'll have a company start. That company will do something really well. You will see exponential growth. But then like the money... /CEO/ investor side of it then expects that exponential growth to continue every year forever. And I think that's the reason why we see this bullshit is because, we saw that with Square with like Tomb Raider and what was the other one? Oh, Hitman, they let IO Interactive go because they were unsatisfied with Hitman's sales. And it's just the idea that you have to have this like 500% increase in profits every year or else you're an abject failure. To me, is just lunacy.
I agree.
Because even if what you just said is true, you still got $2 million. Like, yeah, okay, great. That's not everything, but that's $2 million. Hey, you don't want your $2 million? I'll take your $2 million if that's just garbage to you that you want to throw in a fire. Also, I mean, Battlefield 5, I mean, this is one of those weird things that I'll never be able to really truly understand is whether or not that whole like, well, if you don't like our thing, then don't fucking buy it. That whole thing with the arm and the lady and the people complaining and then coming back aggressively, like, I don't know, maybe that affected it. Maybe putting out a World War II game the year after Call of Duty put out a World War II game didn't do you any favors. But anyway. But if you are still playing Battlefield 5, some good news. Apparently, that combined arms mode, this is another thing that I forgot, was that the Battle Royale for Battlefield 5 isn't even out yet. It comes out in March. And that the combined arms, which was what that first trailer for the game was about, where it was like you and 3 other people in a squad, like doing kind of single-player co-op stuff. I didn't even realize that wasn't in the game. I just thought that I got bored. Like, that's coming out in February.
Okay.
Like, next week, apparently, you're going to be able to go online with 3 of your friends and kind of do these single-player kind of rush mode things. And, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the real solution is if you want to sell 8 million copies of your game, you put everything in the game that was in the trailer, and you don't just launch it with, like, half the shit that you've been advertising for it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe.
EA. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, we're going to speed this up a little bit. So we've talked about a lot of different game companies. Let's talk about Sony a little bit. Apparently, Sony stock has been declining because their sales numbers, this is kind of right back to the previous one, have been okay, but not great. And then apparently the biggest problem right now is that the 2019 lineup for Sony, again, we talked about this last week, that they're not going to E3, that there's a few games out there, but we don't have even release dates for.
Yeah.
Like, Last of Us 2, is that confirmed
There's
for this?
no release date for that, if I remember
Because
correctly.
Death Stranding doesn't have one, and Ghost of Tsushima doesn't have one, right?
No.
So there's no, like, is it possible that we might go through this whole year without any first-party exclusives from...
Well, Days Gone.
Oh, yeah, okay, Days Gone. Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough.
And that got pushed back.
Yeah. But in any case, it seems like Sony may be losing a little bit of their momentum because they just don't have as many big things. And apparently last year, they just didn't sell quite as many PS4s as they were kind of expected to.
Yeah, because everyone already fucking owned one.
Exactly. Like, yes. I own 2. Like, what more do you want from me, Sony? I can't be buying more PlayStations.
I mean, if you want to buy one and give one to me, I'll take another one.
Hey, John, I got like 8 PlayStations because I got to keep Sony. That's my jam right there. I got to get all these PlayStations.
We got to put their kids through college.
Right. But there was also an interesting rumor that came out this week based on a patent that said that the PS5, when it does exist and come out, may have backwards compatibility not only to the PlayStation 4 but also to the PlayStation 3. I would assume that if they're just packing more hardware into the PS5, they may have gotten to the point where they can actually emulate the cell processing structure. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows? And not to be left out, hey, you got a Labo? You got Nintendo Labo, John?
I do. I have one of
Which
them.
one?
The robot one where you have the backpack.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to get the other 2, apparently GameStop's got them on sale for $40, and Amazon is matching that price. So you can get any of the 3 Labo lines for $40 if you have a Switch, and if you have any joy in your heart. They're
great.
The Variety Pack one, all by itself, has like 5 different projects, like the house, piano, fishing pole, motorcycle racing, remote control robot.
Yeah, remote control robot.
That one's great. If you want to just try that out, $40 is not that much for one of those things.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's great. A friend bought it for me for my birthday, the robot one, and I played it. It's a lot of fun. Like, I was a robot destroying buildings.
And then the vehicle one is also there, the third one.
Yeah, that's
where you can switch between the flying and the car and the driving and stuff. So,
but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you are interested in that, check it out. Okay, let's kick a few more trailers out here. We got a Metro Exodus Artyom's Nightmare trailer, which was like a CGI trailer of Artyom having this terrible nightmare where every time this kid opens up this like Russian nesting doll, he like goes into another bad situation full of mutants and fallout. It's pretty grim, but it's very beautiful. Are you excited for Metro?
So I never played any of the Metro games, so I have no like affinity for them.
Okay.
I think it looks interesting. Like, it's one of those games that I might play, and I think what they're doing here, what the purpose of this trailer was meant to do, was to show that it's not just frozen nuclear wasteland.
Right.
Like, that there are other biomes in the world that you're going to be experiencing, because that's actually something that a lot of people have been like, oh, so is it still I'm just going to be frozen, desolate, irradiated world? Like, that's what we got in the last couple of games.
Yeah, mostly sewers and then outside with like mutants and bullshit.
Yeah. And so I feel like they're kind of now doing the big push to be like, no, We said you weren't going to be doing just that, but now here's more of it to really emphasize on it.
Yeah, I'm actually getting really excited for this one, mostly because I like the Metro, but I'm kind of in that same boat where like it started to grate a little bit as the game went on, but the idea that it all takes place on this train where you're like moving between different places, I like that quite a bit as well. So, yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I mean, it's a full CGI trailer. But again, that game's coming out on Friday.
Looks good, though.
Yeah, looks real good.
As far as CGI trailers go.
We got a 30-second trailer for Sekiro, for the Corrupted Monk, which is just a boss in Sekiro. Sekiro continues to look fucking rad, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play Sekiro. I was watching a Vati Vidya video the other day where he said that apparently there's not like as much... There are no stats, or that your stats go up like automatically. Like, there's a lot less customization. I remember telling Matt Frank this, But I think there's going to be a lot of Souls fans that don't like Sekiro. I think
No, you've said that a lot.
yeah.
I think you said that since the trailer first came out.
Yeah. And then finally, we had a just more Crash Team Racing gameplay trailer. This looks like Crash Team Racing to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Crash Team Racing.
Yep. So Michael will be here at some point, and he could talk about how excited he is for Crash Team Racing, which is like his favorite kart racing game of all time. Let's see. Dr. Mario is coming to your cell phone this summer.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Dr. Mario World is the name of it. I'm not entirely sure what exactly that's going to be, but apparently there was also a mobile Mario Kart that got pushed back, and so this is going to be like in its place. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Dr. Mario in the world, but
I mean, it's just a variation on Tetris.
I don't know. My brain won't make Dr. Mario work. Like I can do Tetris, but my brain will not make Dr. Mario work.
I understand.
And then there's a rumor that let's see, BioWare apparently re-upped the copyright on Jade Empire, so there's a possibility that might just be business as usual, or we might be looking at Jade Empire coming. I don't know that I believe that, just because we know there's a new Dragon Age, and then they said they were working on something Mass Effect that's like way far out in the future. Like, so I don't know. I would put my money on like a re-release, maybe like an HD redo of Jade Empire more than a new game.
Maybe.
And last but not least, hey, did you ever wish that Groundhog Day had a sequel?
Is that a trick question? Considering you live in the same day over and over again, isn't it its own sequel?
I don't know. It's getting too heavy for me, man. Well, apparently, if you've got a VR headset now, you can play as...
or at least you will be able to.
You will be able to play as Phil's son.
Phil Jr.
Phil Jr. in Punxsutawney in his own Groundhog Day, where things are going over and over again, living in the shadow of his father.
Yeah. I actually kind of appreciated the it's Tequila Works making the game, which I was actually caught off guard by that.
Yeah.
But I actually kind of like the idea that they showed like a video footage of his dad like being a concert pianist and like being world famous, and he's still kind of about himself, but did learn his lesson to be a nice guy and to be a good person that helped other people. And then he found out from his dad his actual like what happened.
Yeah.
And then somehow in this VR game he is now stuck in the loop.
Yes. Which is a cool it's a cool idea for a VR game of getting to know your surroundings so you know where everything is, and then kind of having a puzzle, kind of a puzzle game of trying to figure out how to become, how to do what you need to do in order to kind of continue on through the world. So that's coming to Oculus and PlayStation VR.
I'm going to say I don't think it's called Groundhog Day, like father, like son. I don't think it's going to be good.
Me neither, but I'm still going to play it.
Yeah.
Because I like Groundhog Day.
Like, I think it'll be fun to play for like 30 minutes, and then people will get tired of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Or it'll only be like an hour long.
When you have to deal with Ned Ryerson in person over and over and over again, maybe that's enough for you to take off the VR headset. But then when you take off the VR headset, you're actually inside of the game, because now it's Groundhog Day for real. Except now you have to play the Groundhog Day VR game every day. Ugh. Anyway, we're going to take a break.
I'm never going to play that game, I think.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to answer some questions. So stick around, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
Are you still hyped?
I'm still hyped.
Oh, good.
Still hyped. We got a lot of questions. We got some questions from the Discord chat. The brand new, well, I guess it's not new now. The still
slightly used.
The still fairly new. The certified pre-owned Discord chat has some questions for us. But we also have questions coming in at mail@rageselect.com. That is the email address to send your questions into, and you should still send them in. But if you also want to, you should go on the Discord server, because we got some stuff happening.
How can they go into the Discord
server? By going
server?
to patreon.com/rageselect, and given the $5 tier for it, and you don't have to give $5 for every video we put out. You can do $5 with a $5 cap, just $5 a month, and you get access to Discord server. John's there. I'm
there. Yeah.
I'm there. Jason has an account, even though he's only posted one thing, which is weird. But
I pop in there occasionally.
Michael's there. I'm going to start hammering on Matt Frank to get up in there, waste his time.
I think he was in there once.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I saw him in there once.
I sleep a lot during the day, so I don't. I don't always know. All right. So yes, our first question here is not necessarily a question, but it is talking about Kingdom Hearts 3, and I've been thinking a lot about Kingdom Hearts 3. So let's talk a little bit about Kingdom Hearts 3. So it says, this is from Devilishly Handsome 49, who says, hello, Jeff and John. Hope you're having a nice day as always. This is not really a question, but more of an explanation regarding a video game series. After recently watching your dojo vids on Kingdom Hearts 3, I found it a bit odd at how harsh you and Matt were towards it. You need to know that Kingdom Hearts 3 was not meant for newcomers. Just the name of the title... Just the name of this title has been hyped for over a decade in many games leading up to it. Jumping into Kingdom Hearts 3 with no prior knowledge of the series is like jumping into Infinity War without watching the previous MCU movies or playing Metal Gear Solid 4 or 5 without playing the previous titles. Kingdom Hearts 3 was never marketed as something you could just jump into, with so many articles and press describing it as the end of a specific story arc. Pacing of the games would be ruined trying to recap every single detail of the previous games when they're already available to play on the PS4. If you find the time to play through the series, maybe things will be a bit clearer as to why it's gained such a huge fan base and AAA status. I hope this clears a bit of confusion you may have, and maybe you'll give the series a chance. Signed fellow Rager, Devilishly Handsome 49. So, I've been thinking a lot over the last couple weeks about Kingdom Hearts 3 because I do. And the thing that I've kind of come down to is that, and I want to ask you this question. Let's turn this into a question. I've been trying to think of examples of other franchises that require you to play, watch, or experience all of the things leading up to them in order to understand, in order to fully understand what's going on. And let me just say that the reason that I'm curious is because there's a thing that Kingdom Hearts 3 does that I don't think I don't see a lot of other series do, and that is that Kingdom Hearts 3, like, it really expects you to have played all of these. Like, it really has very little sympathy for you if you just came to this game. And one of the things that when he says that it wasn't really marketed to newcomers, I kind of disagree with that, because yes, there were trailers that were all about Organization 13 and Sora and all that stuff, but then there were also just like, hey, look, it's Disney. You like Disney? Get on in here. Look at Goofy and Mickey, and you're going to be having a great time in Toy Story, and oh, it's Big Hero 6. Yeah, like... And so those trailers, I felt like, were trying to appeal to a broader spectrum of people, and I almost feel like that if you really do have to play every single thing, if the game is not going to make any concession to you about what's going on unless you fully understand this franchise, I just can't think of another series. Like, I can think of a couple of very specific examples, but the only thing that I can think of about a media that aggressively wants you to know everything else before you go in would be comics. Like old comics where it's like, oh, this refers to what Dr. Doom did in Spider-Man 327. They'll put the little asterisks down there, right? Or like, oh, the Shadow King is back, and you're like, who the fuck is the Shadow King? But like, other than that, I mean, Metal Gear gets
Lord of the Rings.
I was wondering about that. I wonder if you could jump into Lord of the Rings on the third book, right? I wonder if you could just read Return of the King. But because with Marvel movies, I don't think you have to watch every Marvel movie to understand Infinity War.
No.
I think you could probably just watch the third
but
phase.
You do have to watch something.
You probably have to watch some of them. I'm actually really interested to know what it would be like for a person to just watch Infinity War, because in some cases I feel like they do have kind of a POV character in Thanos, in the way that Thanos is a character that you could kind of latch onto, even though he's the bad guy. But because Metal Gear Solid gets brought up a lot, but like when you think about MGS, like Metal Gear Solid 1 doesn't require you to play Metal Gear 1 and 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 has a lot of hooks to 1, but they also introduce Raiden as a new POV character. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 3 is a prequel, so it doesn't require you to... I mean, obviously all of these you'll have a better experience.
I would say 4 is probably the only one that is that you really need to play at least some of the others.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to play everything.
Right.
And I also feel like that may be true for Kingdom Hearts. You don't have to play every side game that's come out, but you probably should have played 1 and 2.
Right. See, I don't know, because a lot of the stuff that I know a little bit about Kingdom Hearts, and a lot of the stuff that they're referencing seems like it didn't come up until... the Keyblade Wars and what that movie that was in the Kingdom Hearts 2.4 Megamix or whatever. I don't know. It's weird to me because a lot when you have a sequel, a lot of times that sequel will make some nods towards what happened before.
Yeah.
Like they'll write it in a way so that newcomers can kind of just not get everything, but glean what's going on.
Or they'll use certain tropes to get the point across.
Exactly. And a lot of it, what my problem may be here is the fact that the movie that plays before the start screen, the movie that plays after the start screen, and then Yen Sid sending you off on your first mission, all of that seems like it requires you to have previous knowledge of the games.
Okay.
To add to that, just I want to be completely clear here. I'm not as charmed by Disney as a lot of other people are. So, you say, okay, well, you don't need to know all that, but you do need to know, but you need to have like this, if you have a great love of Disney, you can be like, I don't know what's going on here, but hey, I get to play Hercules. I've never gotten to do that before, but I don't really care that much about that. So, I don't know. There's a lot of barriers for me to entry, and then there's this question in my mind of like the commitment involved in playing Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, and even some of the spin-offs. That's a big time commitment. What if I don't like the story of Kingdom Hearts by the time I get to the end of 3? Like,
so I also feel like it is unfair for people to go, well, before you can play 3, you have to go back and play all of them. They're available on the PS4. Right. You can play them. Yeah, but that's a time commitment.
Yeah.
This is not a situation. And again, I feel like this also goes back to the argument of I actually do understand the passion that people have for Kingdom Hearts 3. I get it.
Sure.
But you also got to remember a lot of those people played the games as they were coming out.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to be like, yeah, but you got to go back and play all of them back to back. All 6 of those 30-hour, 60-hour games.
Right.
Back to back, then you can play this final 60-hour game.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
I mean,
I don't have to do any of that.
I mean, it would be like if when Final Fantasy X came out, you needed to play Final Fantasy 1 through 9 to understand what was going on in 10.
Yeah.
Like I've just been racking my brain because Final Fantasy 13 had 2 sequels, right? But the second one was not about lightning, and it was a time travel thing that happened way in the future, and so it established its own universe. You had Lightning's sister, and then a POV character that was brand new, and then a Moogle. So it's like you didn't really even have to play 13. Like you were going to get more. You're obviously going to get more out of it if you're going to get more out of Infinity War if you've watched the entire MCU run before you do that. But it's just the idea that there's no quarter given to people who just want to drop in here at the very beginning, or people like me who played Kingdom Hearts 1 when it came out. And I don't remember all the ins and outs of what happened in that story.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember what happened to Riku at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. So, and yes, there are those recaps. I don't know. I guess it's just I feel like there's this pressure on me to like Kingdom Hearts coming from somewhere, from maybe the people that really like it, and that it doesn't really seem like it's a game for me.
Yeah, and I would honestly say it's probably just not a game for you. I mean, I sort of get it. It's not a game for me. Like, there's too much of it.
Yeah,
like for me to even. I played like you. I played all of Kingdom Hearts 1 when it first came out. I played up until the title card of Kingdom Hearts 2 and said, fuck this bullshit, and left.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back. And I've been happy with that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never regretted that decision. With the release of each of these little spin-off and side games, I have just been more happy with the decision that I made at that moment.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be clear, I want to just say that I also understand the desire to see the end of this giant epic storyline. I do understand that. It's just... I just wish that the game was friendlier to newcomers, and that the common retort and that criticism, which is kind of what I feel like Matt and I were doing, is a lot of times met with just this idea that, well, you should just go back and play all of them. And it's like, man, that is a big time commitment. And again, what if I play all of them and I'm like, oh, I don't like this story. Like, I don't like Sora. I don't like children in games, right? I like violent adult video games, and so I just don't think it's for me. So, you know what, Devil She Handsome, thank you very much. And I'm not trying to crap on you. It's just...
Hey, I think I speak for Jeff here when I say, if you love Kingdom Hearts, if that's your jam, more power to you. I'm actually happy that it's someone's jam, because variety is the spice of life of all video games. There's going to be games I like that other people don't like. There's going to be games that I don't like that other people do like. There's going to be games I'm ambivalent on that people both violently hate and supremely love at the same time.
Yep.
That's life.
Yep. Also, there is one other thing that I don't think I've ever really brought up, and that is that Kingdom Hearts 3 is a little frustrating to me because I like Square, and like Final Fantasy 14 was an MMO, and I was like, I mean, this is okay, but it's an MMO. I'm not interested in that. I did not like Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, no,
and I'm not really into Kingdom Hearts. So it's like this is a game company that I like that hasn't put out a game that I've liked in a while, right? And then I'm sure that the next thing is going to be the 7 remake, and I'm like, I mean, okay, and I like Final Fantasy 7. But I really want to play Final Fantasy 16. Like, can you announce that so I can start the countdown timer to wait for
Final
5 years?
Final Fantasy 16, the direct sequel to Final Fantasy 15, starring Noctis.
No!
You heard it here, folks.
Anyway, one more question about Kingdom Hearts, and then we're going to stop talking about it forever. Let's see. This one comes in from you didn't have a name, so I'm just calling you M. M says, "Hey there, Rage Select. Thanks for Discord server. Always releasing great content. So after watching your Let's Play of Kingdom Hearts 3, and I love the gameplay, and I do like the series, even though I fell off years and years ago. But my question is, what would it take for you to finish the game? Like, what if you watched a YouTube backstory of the whole series or read through the wiki for the whole series? Would it be enough to keep you invested? Anyway, keep doing what you guys do best. Thanks." And that's from M. I've never been a big fan of like watch a YouTube recap on a thing.
I've watched 3 different YouTube recaps, and they were all different.
Okay.
Which is more amazing to me because they were all telling like I could tell they were all hitting the same story beats, but they were all interpreting them a little bit differently. And I'm just like, well, I'm more confused now than I was before.
I mean, the game, like, again, the game has in the opening thing, like recap videos that you can watch. But I don't know. I mean, I like video games. I like to play the things that I want to, I mean, for example, I love the Witcher franchise.
Yeah.
I never played Witcher 1.
Yeah.
I didn't play the Witcher 1 at all. Not a single minute of it. Like,
I played it.
I played Witcher 2 and I loved it. And, Witcher 3, let's just not talk about that right now. But, like, I don't know. The idea of reading a wiki story recap just isn't that appealing to me.
I do that stuff sometimes. Like, I'll watch, like, recap videos. I'll watch, I'll read Wikipedia. Like, I actually couldn't really remember a certain plot point of what little plot there is from Crackdown 2, and I actually was curious and I went and read it up. I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
The other thing is,
but yeah, so I'll do that sometimes. Now, I mean, for me, I have no interest in Kingdom Hearts 3. I haven't even played it.
Yeah.
You've played at least a little of it.
I let Michael take it. I figure he'll have fun with that. I'm playing Apex Legends.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you at least played it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I've never played it. I have no desire to play it. I mean, if someone, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying if someone were to go, no, John, you need to play it, I've given you a copy.
Right.
To play it. Whether it's to loan or to have or whatever, yeah, I'd probably play it.
Yeah.
I'd probably sit down and play it until probably I got to the point where I just said, fuck this, and put it away, just like I did with 2. Or I could play it and actually enjoy it and whatever. Like, I don't know. But I have no desire to play it. Like, there's other games that I'm more wanting to play. Like, even if I don't want to go buy them, there's other games that are either out or about to come out that I want to play in some shape or form. So
the other thing that would help me is when I look at the game, I'm also about half of the worlds in the game are properties that I'm not exactly super excited about. Like, I liked Frozen okay, but I don't know if I want to play a whole Frozen world. I am so ambivalent about Big Hero 6 that, like, I don't care.
How dare you, sir?
It's just me, man. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean has run itself into the ground. I watched every single one of those movies, and I'm just like, oh, man, okay, I guess. Like, but I'm not, I don't know. Like, I wish that they would have done more interesting worlds. Like, Hercules was in the other games, but you never actually played Hercules' story until now. So it's like, oh, Hercules was in the Colosseum in 1 and then in 2, but it was before the actual events of the Hercules movie have happened. So now we're going to be doing. So, like, I don't really care as much about Toy Story. Like, if they had done weird stuff, and I realized that they had to have development time, so like you can't have Moana in there.
Yeah.
But like,
I
put
do
the Great Mouse Detective in there.
I do appreciate because I've seen clips and stuff from. I do appreciate the meta context of the Toy Story level because apparently T-Rex has played all the Kingdom Hearts games and is a huge fanboy.
All right. Anyway, let's move on from Kingdom Hearts forever. Patrick writes in and says, "Dear Jeff and John, from your enthusiasm for Guacamelee on the Game of the Year podcast, I decided to check it out on Game Pass. Holy fuck, it's so good!" And I immediately flew through it and the sequel. 2 questions: what other Metroidvania-style games can you recommend for this console generation? And where would you like them to take the story in Guacamelee 3? Maybe go into other universes and have ninjas or other character archetypes. Thanks, and that's from Patrick. Did you beat Guacamelee 2?
I actually have never played Guacamelee 2.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's one of those that I'm like, I really need to play Guacamelee 2, and then it just never happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to though. Like because Guacamelee 1 is so good.
So let's see some Metroidvania games.
This console generation.
Yeah, I just pulled up a list. I think that Dead Cells is kind of a Guacamelee, kind of a Metroidvania, but I don't know if I'd exactly Guacavania. Yeah, I would not exactly classify it. Axiom Verge is really good, and it should be cheap by now.
Axiom Verge is really good. I agree with that as well.
Ori and the Blind Forest is also really good.
Yeah, I've heard its sequel's really good.
Mm-hmm. They're both good.
Or is the sequel out yet?
No, the sequel's not out yet. There was I think it was like an expansion.
I've heard people who played demos of it say it was just as good.
Ori and the Blind Forest is absolutely fantastic. There's one, God, what's it called? Sundered, that's like a procedurally generated Cthulhu future Metroidvania game. I believe that's the name of it.
You're saying words that are all interesting to me.
Sundered is interesting. That Strider game that came out in 2014 was a Metroidvania game that was actually pretty good. I actually like that game quite a bit. There's some oldies but goodies where if you haven't played, there's a game called Momodora, Reverie Under the Moonlight, which is kind of like a Souls game / Metroidvania game that came out that was really good. If you can find a place to play Cave Story is an absolutely amazing Metroidvania
Cave Story is
game.
pretty good.
Hollow Knight's on this list, which is good, but I mean, like, I don't really know that much about it. I've heard good things about it. I can't vouch for it, though.
Yeah.
If you have not played it, though, let me just say briefly, Symphony of the Night is available in that dumb collection that they put out that has Symphony of the Night and then Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night is an amazing Metroidvania game, and it's the reason why Vania is on the end of Metroid. And then, if you have let's just say that if you have a Game Boy Advance or a Nintendo DS and the legal ability to dump ROMs off of them into some kind of PC software, I can say that not too long ago I played, what was it, like Circle of the Moon, the one with the kid from the future with like the fur coat on.
Oh yeah.
That was that game holds the fuck up, man.
Another game I would say is pretty good. If you have an Xbox One, it's backwards compatible. I don't remember if it's on the PS4 in any way, shape, or form, but I do know it's on PC.
Shadow Complex. Man, Shadow Complex.
You knew where I was going with it.
Yep. Well, you said Xbox, and I was like, Xbox exclusive Metroidvania. I know exactly where you're going.
It wasn't Xbox exclusive. It was just backwards compatible.
Right. No, it was when it originally came out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it didn't come out on the PC until the Epic Store launched.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Or the Epic Launcher launched. Or
but
whatever.
Shadow Complex, pretty damn good.
Yeah. Even though it was written by Orson Scott Card, it was, but it's still good. Like, it's a good game. That's another one. Matt and I played The Mummy Demastered.
You and I played that too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh wait, was it you and I?
Yeah, it was you and me.
Okay,
it was
good.
actually a lot of surprise. Like it was surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
The Messenger has been getting a lot of good reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been wanting to buy that. Apparently, that's also really, really good.
We played that briefly. Chasm is another one that's okay. It's a procedurally generated Metroidvania, except that it procedurally generates the world once, and then it's like the same world, so it doesn't change every time you go back into it.
Okay.
It's okay. I played that one. So yeah, that's probably enough. That's probably enough games to keep you going. If you beat all those, then come back and you ask us, and we'll find 5 more outside of that, because those are all good games. Anyway, let's see. Let's do some of the questions from the Discord. Let's see. Duke of Ontario says, I could use the name of a few good sci-fi/fantasy books that may be obscure to gift.
I don't know if it's obscure, but I just finished a sci-fi book.
Oh, yeah?
Like literally yesterday, just finished a book.
All right.
It's called Gone World.
You've told me about this.
Yes, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's kind of, strangely enough, it stars an NCIS agent.
God damn it, John! You and your crazy obsession with the
Well, it had nothing, I did not know it had anything to do with NCIS when I first read it, or when I first got it.
Central Intelligence Service.
Yeah. I did not know the main character was an NCIS agent when I bought it. But she's investigating a crime about there's a missing girl. There's also this whole thing where the government has time travel capabilities. It takes place in 1997.
Okay.
And they have time travel abilities, so she at times travels to the future after time has passed when people, have let their guard down to investigate. And there's stuff, and there's also this whole thing where it gets tied up into the end of the world as we know it, and all this other stuff. It's just really good. It came out in 2018.
Okay.
Apparently, it was optioned for a movie that is going to be directed by Neil Blomkamp. No clue if it's ever going to happen, but the book was really good. I listened to it through Audible. The person reading it through Audible was a really good narrator. So there you go.
Okay. Good. I have a few. I'll tell you a few of my favorites. I'm actually reading a series right now from this guy named Ken Lozito or something like that. That is okay. They're all short, and I'm not really the biggest fan of them, but they're enough to keep me going because I've torn up all the rest of the series that I've been reading. I would highly, highly recommend. There's two that are very well known and not obscure at all. But if you've got sci-fi folks, they may or may not have actually read them. One is the Expanse series. Is just absolutely dynamite. The first Expanse book is a real page turner, and you can get that anywhere and probably for cheap. The second is who is the guy? God damn it! Who's the name of that guy who wrote? It's a series called Old Man's War. John Scalzi wrote Old Man's War. It's a really interesting concept. It's like whenever people get old on Earth, they get the ability to basically like sign up for the army, and they like take them up into space and put them into like this brand new body that's like super agile and very like resistant to everything, because everything that's happening in space is like horrible and violent. And so when you're gonna die, you go up to the space station, they put you into this brand new body and give you a gun and then send you out to go fight wars. There's like 4 or 5 in that series. It's really, really good. So those are two that are well known, I feel like, that you can start with. My personal picks, I've got two that I would say. Three. Well, maybe 4. Jack Campbell has this whole series called The Lost Fleet, and the first book is called Dauntless. I actually found this on Goodreads because Felicia Day wrote a recommendation for it, and I was like, okay. And there's like 10 books in this series, and there's like 3 spin-off series, and they go on. But like the first chunk of them are good, and I like them because they focus a lot on like spaceships fighting in space and how that would work, like how movement and stuff like that. Because it's hundreds of years into this war where this guy got put into cryostasis and ejected from his ship at the very beginning of the war. And then like this war has been going on for hundreds of years to the point where everybody has forgotten how to do anything with finesse, and they just like crash huge amounts of ships into each other. And so they pick up this guy's pod, and he becomes kind of horrified at like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, no, do like go left instead of just like smashing all your ships into each other. And then suddenly he's like the greatest general that's ever existed because
so basically it's Idiocracy.
Yeah, basically Idiocracy with spaceships. Yep, it's good. The other one, I know I talk about it all the time, but the Honor Harrington series by David Weber is amazing and fantastic, and I love it. The very first book is very slow and it takes a while to get started, but I like that franchise because not every single book is about spaceships blasting each other. The first book is about spaceships blasting each other. The second book, it's like the main character has to go to this super religious planet and try to like buck the trends of all these conservative religious people who don't believe that women should be on spaceships, and it just goes on and on and on and on from there. It's such a big book. I think there's 13 books, and then I think there's something like 30 or 40 spin-off books from it.
Oh, okay.
But the main franchise is really good. And then the last one, if you want some dumb fun, there's a franchise called by Joshua Dalzell called the Omega Force franchise, and it's about a Marine who accidentally gets onto a spaceship in the middle of the night in Colorado, and then he just gets embroiled, and then it just becomes the A-Team in space. Like, he gets a bunch of aliens, and they got a ship, and they're going to go when no one else will help you, and you got no one else to turn to. Maybe you can call Omega Force. So, and then they just have a spinoff of Omega Force, where the first book of that just came out, and it's good as well. So those, you get through those, come back. We'll say more. Murphy says, which will happen first? You guys finish your Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough or the eventual death of our son? # asking for a friend. Stupid Jason posting podcast questions.
Did he? Was that Jason?
That's well, it's a Black Goat Motorcycle Club icon, and he did that like right after I gave him the Discord invite. He didn't say anything in the main channel, but he came into the podcast questions channel. I don't know. We're having a really good time playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I look forward to it every month, where once a month Jason Murphy comes over, we just sit down with this fucking great game, make a bunch of jokes about dumb Albert Schnitzel running around in his bear hat, shooting people, doing dumb stuff. I love it. I love playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, it's so fun just to have a game that you don't have to, like, push or pretend. You can just be like, cowboy time. Let's do this. So I think the eventual heat death of our son was probably going to come first.
Maybe.
But, yeah, who can say? Let's see. Rayman Ryan writes in and says, greeting Rage Masters. We all know that Jeff loves him some Dark Souls, but what's your favorite Soulsborne style game other than Dark Souls or Bloodborne? I've been playing the nutsack off of Hollow Knight on the Switch recently, and it made me want to go back and try the Wall of Pain, which was Dark Souls remastered, which apparently did not end well. I kind of wanted to ask you this question. Have you ever found, I mean, and I want to use this in the loosest possible way, like anything with kind of Soulsian DNA.
Let It Die?
Let It Die?
I was actually pretty into that for a while.
Okay. Yeah, Let It Die totally works. This is a stretch, but I think that the closest game that I've seen is probably Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Because it has that whole kind of like stamina management system to it, and the kind of big open world that you can get fucked up in, but not many are able to do it quite as well. I mean, I've heard nothing but good stuff about Hollow Knight, that Momodora game that I talked about. I've heard nothing but good stuff about that. I haven't had a chance to play all of them. I know that the like direct ones, the Surge and the Lords of the Fallen, I haven't been super impressed with those.
Salt and Sanctuary,
Neo, none of them have managed to kind of get it just the right way, at least in my opinion. But then on the other hand, let us remember that I don't want them to be making Dark Souls games forever. Bloodborne is like my second favorite because Bloodborne was dared to do something different, and I thought it was amazing because of it. So like, I couldn't be happier that Sekiro is doing something besides just making more Dark Souls, because I can always go back and play Dark Souls and 2 and 3 and Demon Souls and Bloodborne. And John knows that because we've played every single one of those games.
We have. We really have.
We never did the Dark Souls 2 DLC, John.
Never did. And yet we played Dark Souls Remastered multiple times.
Multiple times. It's true.
Once I even got to hold the controller for all of like 5 minutes.
You got to hold the controller for like half that video. Put that on me. Let's see. Gorm Dragon writes in and says, Dear Raging Dawn Lords, I am getting a Switch and love the DS. I'm getting a Switch and had loved the Dark Souls series, I guess it says DS series, on PS3, PS4. How do the controls measure up on the Switch? Am I better off just playing Dark Souls on my PlayStations? There's a weird thing where, because of the fact that the Switch has different default like OK and cancel buttons just for menu items, where they're like on the right side instead of on the left side, like they are on the PlayStation version, or they're reversed or something. And out of all the controls, that's the one thing you can't change on the Switch. And so I always feel like I was playing some Dark Souls at Christmas when I had my Switch up in Ohio, and it felt wrong because I kept I kept not being able to close menus fast enough when I was trying to change something or do something. Other than that, I think it's fine. Like, I think it looks better on those other consoles, obviously, but like getting on the Switch it's great to have Dark Souls be able to walk around in your hands. I also think that the Joy-Con controllers don't have the little horns on them, right?
Yeah.
That like a regular controller has, which makes them feel a little bit flimsier in my hand. So if I'm going to play it, I'll probably play it on the PS4, to be honest. Let's see. Lost but Broken says, don't know if it's been answered, but will you and Jason be trying to find vampire, man-bear, pig, serial killer, etc. in Red Dead Redemption 2? I have no idea. I don't know what the future holds. All right, here's a good one. Psycho Knight writes in and says, I recently got a PSVR and have been experimenting with games to see if any of them would trigger the dreaded motion sickness that everybody talks about. What VR games or settings have made you the most sick or disoriented, either in general or the shortest time it takes to start feeling it? I keep hearing that Riggs is the worst.
I haven't played Riggs.
I have not either.
But there was one game that literally was the worst experience I've had with motion sickness. Which
okay.
I forget the title of the game, but it was one of the early titles. And I feel like it's one of those also like free movement type games where like you just like it's not a teleport. It's a free movement thing, and it just for whatever reason I played it for all of like 30 minutes and I was out of it. God, it has a weird name, like Apex something Human Part 1.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what the actual name of it is. Yeah. That always gets to me. Like, a lot of people, I feel like, hate the teleportation, but whenever it's like if I'm standing up and I hit a button and my body is moving forward, but my legs are standing still, it's like that's when I get sick. I don't get sick any other time, but when my brain is just like, what is happening here? How are you doing this? And suddenly it's not great. For whatever reason, whenever we record a PSVR game for the show, I always get a headache, which I don't normally get when I'm just playing by myself. But have you checked out that A Fisherman's Tale?
No, I'm going to be honest. I have not turned on my PSVR in like months.
Okay. I got that a few weeks ago. It's really interesting because it's like you're a puppet of a fisherman in a lighthouse, and inside of the lighthouse a certain
puppet?
Yeah, it's like you just have hands and a body. Like the fisherman made a magical puppet that like did all his chores. And so then like in the middle of this room that you're in, there's a model of the lighthouse, and then at a certain point you take the roof off, and when you do that, you look up and it's like the roof has been taken off and there's a giant U. It's like infinity. It's like you're in a like so when you look down in it, there's a little U inside of there, and there's also that same little room, and then there's also that same little lighthouse with the top off that you can see down into that one that has another little one. And then like when you move, the puppet moves in all of those places. So there's all these puzzles that involve like getting the smaller versions of a thing out of this, or like using the big guy to do stuff. And there's a little crab that comes and he wants stuff, and that's as far as I got, but it seemed kind of cool. An interesting concept, at least. Like it's very disorienting to look up and see a big version of yourself doing stuff, or when you're reaching your hand down into the model and then suddenly you see a gigantic hand coming by your head because the big version of you.
Can you grab yourself?
I didn't try that, and now I'm disappointed and sad. I don't know how that would work. All right, one more from the chat here. Ratchet Sly says, what are some of your favorite art styles and aesthetics in games? A good style makes a game stick out in my memory better and looks good much longer than simply striving to be as realistic as possible. Personal favorite of mine is Okami from the PS2 era. Favorite art styles in games.
Ooh,
I really like the way that we saw for a while that kind of like what Blizzard TF2 kind of cartoony Pixar style taking over, like a Dishonored, where it was like these aren't super realistic. They kind of have some exaggerated proportions. I like that one quite a bit. I'm trying to think of other games that have very, very distinctive art styles that I can remember. I don't know. I'm generally not a big fan of cell shading, so it's like a lot of those games
annoy you.
Yeah, they're not big on me, big for me. Overwatch is a good example of a game with a really good art style. In fact, it's interesting because I was actually thinking how Apex Legends has good silhouettes for their characters, which like, a lot of Fortnite, PUBG or whatever, it's just everybody kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Whereas because they have powers, you need to be able to identify like who you're fighting from a distance, and they're really good at making sure that they all look and move slightly differently so that you can tell who they are. Good question. I don't know that I have a full-on answer. So many of the games that I like are just realistic looking. Like they don't have like a superb or like a super striking art style. I don't know. At least none of the stuff that I've been playing recently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hitman, Resident Evil 2, those are just regular looking games. I did like the grime in the new RE engine, right?
Yeah.
Between 7 and 2. I like that quite a bit. I don't know. Anything coming to mind?
No, I'm trying to go through like my history of video games and stuff. I mean, I liked Oni.
Yeah.
But that was, again, kind of a cel-shaded a little bit.
Back in the old days.
Back in the old days, Oni, yeah.
Okay.
I liked...
What's what I was just
I kind of like also I like cartoony aesthetics, like 2D animation style aesthetics in games. So I mean, like I like the Scott Pilgrim games.
Oh, okay.
The Scott Pilgrim game. Like I love that. The look. Mercenary Kings also used it because it was the same people. Like I dig that stuff.
Wargroove has some really nice pixel animation going on in it that just came out very recently. All right, well, I tell you what, let's tear up a couple more of these questions. What are we looking at? We still got a little bit more time, but we might cut it off a little bit earlier this week. Let's see. Vanish Knight writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and John. Why do a lot of big name companies have their offices/studios in big cities where living expenses are very expensive? Cities such as Los Angeles, Seattle, Bay Area, etc. Getting to work is problematic because of traffic. Moving closer to work means spending more living expenses. Can't more of these companies open offices in areas where it's cheaper to live and easier to get to? Is there an explanation why a lot of big name game companies have offices in these big cities? Very frustrated, Vanish Knight." I guess.
Part of it's tax cuts.
Yeah.
The cities actually do give certain types of companies tax cuts, like large tax cuts to have their head offices. Now, a lot of companies will have open up like sister studios in other cities. Like I know Austin is one that a lot have opened up in the past.
Yeah.
And part of that is because of the tax cuts that Texas and specifically Austin gave those companies to come to here.
Yep.
But that's kind of a big part of it. It's tax breaks.
I'd say there's probably some of it too that it's in. I mean, when you're talking about,
I could say that, as far as like California, it's because that's Silicon Valley. That's where the technology comes from that these games are being made for. So they kind of have to be in the same spot.
Mm-hmm. You also probably have a lot more clustered talent when it comes to like voice actors or getting people to come in. If you want a famous actor in your game, it would help if they could just drive down to your studio instead of flying to like, I don't know, Minneapolis or something. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of like satellite studios and places that just do work, but it's probably also has a lot to do with just a claim like status, right? Of being able to have your downtown LA company as opposed to keeping your stuff out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than that, I mean, like, and all this I can say, I'm just talking out my ass here. I don't really know anything. I would say that
I know a little bit. It's mostly tax cuts.
Okay.
Like that's not the whole reason, but I can say a large portion of it is tax cuts. Having worked for a few video game companies at this point, it's tax cuts.
It's tax cuts. All right, Christopher writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff and John, I've never been a drinker. I've never been a drinker per se, but I really enjoy the design and level of detail bars in movies, TV shows, and even some video games. Jeff, I know you enjoy a bar as much as the next fellow. So, what fictional bar in a show, movie, or video game would you go to in real life if it existed in Austin, Texas? You can get any drink you want in real life or the fictional drinks that they serve. Characters from the place appear there, so you can talk to them. Personally, I would pick Moe's Tavern from The Simpsons just to witness the stupidity and humor of Homer and Barney. Try Duff beer, but it could be dangerous with a police raid on Moe's illegal activities. Also, the Moe's Eisley Cantina bar from Star Wars would be cool with jazz music. Maybe they have blue milk, lol. Anyway, thanks, Jeff and John. You were the best YouTubers ever. Your internet friend, Chris. P.S. What beer would you recommend that tastes good for me because I've never really tried one that doesn't taste like gasoline piss. Do I just have to develop a taste? Well, as to
this
that,
is more of a you question.
well, we'll come back around to it. As far as the gasoline piss thing, I feel like Christopher, you actually live in a pretty good time because there are a lot of flavored beers that are different than just like beer. Like, don't drink cheap beer. Maybe start with something that has some like fruit or like lemon or something like that in it, so that it's got a taste to kind of cut it a little bit. And always pay attention to the ABV on the outside, or look it up on your phone, because if you have a high alcohol content in your beer, then you're going to get more of that alcohol taste. That bite is going to come through it. So if you can find yourself a low one, maybe start with like a cider, right? You know, there's a lot of good ciders out there these days, and they've got some alcohol in them, and maybe that can get you used to the taste of the alcohol a little bit without having to do it, without having to taste just straight up hops or barley or whatever. I'd stay away from IPAs when you start, unless you like the taste of soap in your mouth, which a lot of people do. I feel like a lot of companies overhop their beer, but you check out sours, check out ciders, check out anything that has like a fruit backing to it. If you can find Dogfish Head in your in wherever you are, and you like sour stuff, Dogfish Head has this beer that I really like called Sequench. It's like a session sour. It's got black lime and salt in it. It's very sour. It's got a very low alcohol content. It's like a real easy sipping beer. Like, I can drink a 6-pack of that. It just doesn't really do that much, but it still tastes relatively good, and you get a little buzz off of it. So
I am gonna say something.
All right,
and I know it's promoting other podcasts or sites or whatever.
Drink responsibly. Listen to the beers.
Well, I was going to say, one thing I might recommend do is go to the Modern Rogues YouTube channel, because they had some episodes in which they were joined by a couple friends of ours from the Beerists, in which they talk about different types of alcohols. You know, there's actually like some really good things talk about beers, like, you know, like that you can go buy and stuff like that, and what's good to try out and everything, and things like that. And they even have stuff with actual like bartenders that can actually talk about mixed drinks and things like that. So that's a good place to go if you haven't gone there already. And then, because they were part of it, the Beerists podcast is probably also a good thing. I'm pretty sure they have an episode that is the Beerist guide to getting started.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have something somewhere that can steer you in the right direction. I don't drink alcohol because I actually don't like the taste of it at all. Matter of fact, the only alcohol I have actually gone out of my way to drink is mead, but that's because I like the taste of honey.
Mead is a good starter too.
Fermented honey is actually a nice tasting thing for me. But I don't even go after it a lot. Like, it's usually like I drink it like once a year, like for New Year's. It's kind of a tradition.
Okay. I would say mead is an excellent place to start. I mean, it's honey based, so it's very sweet. You can flavor it, does a lot of good stuff. But the one thing that I would say, nobody told me this for a long time, and John Rubio from the Beerist actually did tell me this, is if you're getting into beers where you really want to taste what the beer is like, make sure that you pour it into a glass. Technically, or like if you've got a sleeve, the kind of trapezoidal ones or whatever that you get at a bar, try to put it in a glass, and don't just drink it like out of a can or a bottle, because when you lift that glass up, you smell the beer as well, which you don't necessarily get when you're getting it out of a bottle or a can, and smell activates a lot of things when it comes to taste, and so you're not getting the full experience of drinking a beer. You don't have to like they have little snifters that they kind of wafted around and smell.
In those Modern Rogue episodes, probably even at the Beerus as well. But yeah.
But I would say that like there is a difference between, like, my favorite beer is Zoe here in Austin. It's this lager. And when I go to the Hideout, they always try to give it to me in a can, and I always make them give me a glass, because you get so much more out of any drink. It's not just beer, it's any drink, when you're lifting it up and you're drinking out of a thing, and then you're also smelling it at the same time. So if you are going to try out some beers, give that a shot. Look for fruity beers, listen to the Beerists, try some mead, do all that stuff. Don't start with screwdrivers like I did. So, bars, in games, or movies that you would like to go to. I actually have a big list from complex.com that I looked through like the Gates of Hell from Bayonetta.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to that place.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
Rodan to give me one of those teeny tiny little drinks.
I'd ask Rodan if he had anything non-alcoholic.
Yep. He's got so many bottles. He's got to have something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things in here. Some, I mean, like, Grand Theft Auto Vice City's bars. I'm only going to talk about the ones that I actually like the Saloon and Armadillo from Red Dead. That would be kind of interesting. I feel like that would be kind of fun. I've been in that place a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got here? There was the Monkey Island pirate bar that you go to at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty fun. I don't know. That is it. That's my answer. Is Serena from the Yakuza games, because there's like 6 of those games and they take place at least like 20% a piece inside of that bar with a big circular ice cube and a whiskey, and you drink there long enough, who knows, Kiryu Kazama might come in, or the Yakuza might come in to bust the place up, and then you're gonna have to get your head kicked in a little bit, but it's worth it. It. I wonder if there's an actual bar in Japan that is,
probably,
because there's like Cheers. Oh, I'll go to Cheers. That's the actual fictional bar, not the place that's actually there. That I hear is just like overpriced or whatever.
Yeah.
But, or the what's the bar in How I Met Your Mother? Ooh, or Patty's Pub. I might not stay at Patty's Pub very long, but I would definitely go in there and get a beer, and then D would yell at me, and then I would probably leave. Also, they all drink shit beer in Patty's Pub, so
that's part of the joke. But yeah.
So let's see. I mean, there's a whole list of things here. I'm like I said. Oh yeah, Afterlife in
probably
Mass Effect
go
2.
to the bar in Deep Space Nine.
Quarks,
yeah.
Hell yeah, or 10 Forward.
Yeah.
I'll let guy to make me some synthahol cocktails.
Yeah.
The Full Throttle bar.
Jesus.
Yeah. There's plenty out there. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones here that I'm just kind of scrolling.
It's also weird for me to be like, I'd totally go to this bar. I'd totally go to this bar and ask them for non-alcoholic stuff, and also what their food menu looks like.
Oh, the Stray Sheep in Catherine.
Catherine, yeah.
That would be a great bar. That place looked like it was like nice, upscale. They always had food there too,
Yeah.
Good looking drinks and stuff. Go to some of these Japanese bars. Anyway, okay, that's a random listing of bars that I had.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of more movie bars. Roadhouse?
The hotel bar from the Continental and John Wick.
Okay. What about the Roadhouse bar from Roadhouse?
I'd be afraid someone's going to tear my throat out of my neck.
Okay. Because I looked at this he sent me a link with a list of other bars. Like a lot of them were like that horrible bar in Twin Peaks. And I'm just like, fuck that. I don't want to go there. That place sucks. Or, I mean, I don't know. They always have some super loud band and then some weird shit's always happening. Yeah, here's some of the other ones. Oh, the Snake Hole Lounge from Parks and Rec. I would like to go there. Is that from Animal House? Oh, yeah, the place that they go. Yeah, I mean, you got like Drunken Clam and some stuff. Ooh, the Winchester. I would go to the Winchester and have a pint.
Wait for the whole thing to blow over.
Wait for the whole thing to blow over. Speaking of blowing over, we got one more question left to go, and then we're out of here. Juho writes in and says, hello, Jeff and John. Have you guys ever been crazy fans? A couple weeks ago, I was having my birthday trip to the capital of Finland, Helsinki, and the second I set foot in the airport, I got a message. Quote, have you seen Kojima? Quote, what? Don't you know? Hideo Kojima, creator of MGS, is in Helsinki. This got me super excited. I might actually meet one of my favorite game designers. Helsinki is big, but not that big. Then the very Finnish thing, aka social anxiety, hit me. What am I going to say if I meet him? Probably, I am your biggest fan. What the fuck is happening right now? And then Death Stranding. Do I actually have balls to go and bother him when he's on a business trip / vacation? Does he even understand English? Well, I never actually met him, but according to his Instagram, we were in the same tourist spot, only 5 hours apart. If you're wondering why he and part of his production crew were in Helsinki, they visited Remedy and played Control.
Yes, they did.
A day before, they were in the Netherlands visiting Guerrilla Games, makers of Death Stranding's game engine Decima. It's in Finnish, yada, yada, yada. Okay, has this ever happened to you? On a band gig, maybe, or you happen to be in the same restaurant with a celebrity? With regards, and that's from Juho.
I have actually met quite a few people that I was a fan of.
Yeah?
And most of them ended up pretty favorably, even in times where I was nervous and
freaking out a little bit.
yeah. I did one of the worst interviews I've ever done for Geek Bombast way back in the day.
Yeah.
I met Mark Bagley, who was an artist on Ultimate Spider-Man, and I was so flustered and so like in awe of the fact that I was meeting and talking to Mark Bagley and that he actually had time to do an interview.
Yeah.
I fucked up that entire interview. Like, my mind was blank, so I was rushing to ask questions that just when I went back to that, I was like, oh, this is like, it hurts. I ended up putting the episode online. It's not on there anymore, but it's putting that interview in the episode, and like I prefaced it with, I was fanboying a little. Like he even caught on. Like he's like, you're fanboying a little bit, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. I met Ron Perlman once, which was interesting because the entire time he was looking at my feet and pointed out that we were both wearing the same off-brand shoes that you could only get at like a small like chain of like called like Shoe Barn.
Okay.
Like, it was like literally in the middle, but it's just like we're wearing the same shoes. And I was like, Shoe Barn? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, cool. And he's like, all right.
Right
and then
on.
that was the end of that conversation. I'm like, I'm cool with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I was walking to Wizard World Chicago, and then I heard someone go, hey, Kevin Smith. And I look over to my left, and there's Kevin Smith literally walking 2 feet to the next to me.
All right.
Carrying a bag of McDonald's. He's kind of like, hey. And then looked at me, and I was like, what's up, man? He's like, hey. And he's like, I'm just going to the convention, got my McDonald's. And I was like, it's cool, man, don't worry, I'm not gonna bother you, I'm not a creepo. And he's like, cool, thanks. I met Bruce Campbell once.
That was recently, right?
This was back when Man with the Screaming Brain. I mean, I did meet him again a second time. But the first time I met him, no. But what was funny is because I was watching everyone in line because it was a screening of the Man with the Screaming Brain, and he would sign your a book. This is when If Chins Could Kill.
Okay.
Or no, this was when Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way just came out.
Okay.
He was signing books, and I noticed that everyone was like, oh my God, I'm the biggest fan. And he's like, oh, you're one of those. And he kind of like was like, like kind of the big one, the people who claim are the big fans are the crazy ones, kind of like reaction. Yeah. And then I got there, I was like, I am a fan. And he's like, are you my biggest fan? I was like, no, I'm not that crazy. And he's like, okay, good, I like you, kind of thing. And we just got to talking, and I brought up a movie called Running Time, and he was like, holy shit, no one ever talks to me about Running Time. I love that movie. It's a great movie. Okay. And then talked to him a little bit about that, and then that was kind of the little 5-minute chat that I had with him because, I had to move on because there were people behind me. And then the second time I met him, he signed my copy of Briscoe County Jr., which was nice. Yeah. Because I love that show.
I haven't met that many celebrities.
Yeah.
I told that one story about that band. I've told that story a bunch of times, so I won't tell it again. I mean, I've had the bad fortune to, I think I even talked about this on the last podcast, of waking up American McGee in the middle of the night to try to interview him. When I worked at Spill.
I got to hang out with Dave Brocky and members of Gore on Dave Brocky's birthday. That was cool.
There you go.
They were doing cocaine and watching I Love the 80s reruns.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Do cocaine, watch stuff from the 80s?
I didn't do any of that. I was just kind of like, so when it comes to bands, I always feel like I'm awkward because I'm not the one who, like, it's always the friend that I'm with that gets me into those situations where I'm interacting with these people. And so I'm always feel awkward because, like, I'm a huge fan of Gore, like, who isn't? Yeah. But I'm not like, I
feel like a lot of people aren't.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean, though. Anyone who would have been at that concert, which wasn't a Gore concert. Yeah. It was actually a Dave Brocky experiment concert. But like anyone would have loved to have been in my position. Anyone who's a fan of Gore would have loved to have been in my position. And it was like a friend of mine who was like one of their like. He was like on their website in their community, and he was like a high-ranking person that they actually recognized his screen name. Okay, and so he kind of, they're like, hey, you want to go hang out with us? It was like, yeah, sure, come on, because I was his ride. So I was just like, all right, I'm getting dragged along with this. I feel awkward. I don't know what to say because, outside of liking their music, I'm not really like
a big, huge Guar fan.
Well, it's like, yeah. And then like also I did the same thing with Unwritten Law, which that one was weird because I felt like they acted like I wasn't there. And so then it was just that awkward of, I should leave. But I can't leave because my friend is here and he's kind of fanboying out, and I don't want to be here, and I want to go.
Yeah. There was a time where I knew somebody that used to work for the Austin Film Society.
Yeah.
And so I managed to get into a couple of like the kind of VIP screeners for stuff that was made here in town. So like I remember I got to meet what's his name? Frank Miller and Robert Rodriguez after Sin City came out.
Oh yeah.
Which Frank Miller was kind of a dick. No surprise there. And Robert Rodriguez didn't have any time for you unless you were a pretty girl. So no surprise there either.
Yeah.
I also went to the Grindhouse premiere, which was here in town because of all the stuff that happened. And then I got to, afterwards, Quentin Tarantino brushed by me. I mean, like, he was obviously on his way somewhere else. And again, I was not a beautiful woman, and so he just didn't give two fucks about what I had to say.
You just didn't show him your feet.
I didn't show him my feet. I should have taken my shoes off. However, I did get to meet Danny Trejo for 5 minutes, and that dude was a fantastic sweetheart that seemed like he was genuinely interested in, like, shaking your hand and being like, I was like, man, I love your work. And he's just like, oh, thanks. Like, he just, genuinely excited.
Yeah.
Like, he had a whole circle of people around him that were all just like, we think you're great. He was just like, yeah, I think you guys are great. Like, just very much not, he was there to, like, just say, hey, I'm glad that you like this stuff. Cool beans. Thanks for coming around.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about him. I'm trying to think. Like, most comic creators are actually pretty.
I met Matt Frank one time.
That was weird.
Those Godzilla comics.
Yeah.
It's kind of a spaz.
He had me on a podcast. It was pretty nice.
Interesting.
Interesting. But yeah, no, like I met Ed Brubaker. That dude's cool as shit. Like, we actually got into a conversation at a convention about fan films and bootlegs. Like, while standing in a booth that was selling fan films and bootlegs.
Nice.
Which was kind of like, because we were talking about, it's like, hey, have you seen this one? And he was like, he asked me, he's like, have you seen this one? I was like, no. I was like, is that this one? He's like, oh, it's this one. Like, oh, that's cool. And then, like, the guy who's selling is like, could you guys keep it down a little bit? I don't need people knowing what I'm selling here. And we're just like loudly talking about like the different fan films and bootlegs this guy is selling at his booth.
Nice. I did that. I remember I did that interview when I was working for Spill with James Gunn. It was just a phone interview, but I don't remember a single part of that. I know I talked to James because when Lollipop Chainsaw was coming out, they were doing the rounds for promo, and so through Hollywood.com, we got like a phone interview set up with James Gunn, and this was like way before Guardians and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think Slither was already out at that point.
Yeah.
But like, he didn't have. I don't know if Super was out. I think as well. I don't know. I don't really remember very much of that either.
But yeah, no, there's I got to do quite a few interviews with different people for that. But yeah, I was also a huge Transformers nerd, so I've met a lot of Transformers voice actors and people who worked at Hasbro or at the animation studios and stuff like that. There was a period of time where I met like a lot of the only real like asshole experience I had outside of ones you would expect would probably have been a Power Ranger, which was Johnny Young Bosch, who is the second Black Ranger, which, from what I understand, it was one of those things that when you talk to him, if you like, because he had just did the voice of Kaneda from Akira.
Right.
And if you talk to him, it's like, oh, you're doing Kaneda. And he'd be like, it's not Kaneda, it's Kaneda. Say it right. Like, he would stop you and correct you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but you're playing that character in Akira. It's Kira. Akira. Not Akira. It's Akira. Like, he would correct you on every little thing. And it's just like, I can't tell if you're fucking with me or you're just an asshole.
So he was like a walking, talking internet.
Yeah.
Just like that was actually alive and for reals.
From what I've heard from people, that was a weird period in his life that he's mellowed from since, and he's actually a really cool guy.
Okay.
He may have also just been really fucking tired that day because he literally had like did a signing and I just kind of like ran into him like in the hotel bar. Like, I was just there eating like my lunch because I liked the food at that specific hotel.
Yeah.
In the bar, and he was just kind of sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, hey, you're Johnny Young Bosch. It's cool to, you're a cool dude."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it was just a really weird moment of just being like, all right, dude, I can't tell if you're just being an asshole or not.
It's weird because there's been this kind of running gag about like, what would Jeff do if you ever met Hideo Kojima? And I'm like, well, I don't really know. I mean, like, I would like to meet Hideo Kojima, and if it was to meet him, it would just be like, hello, sir, I really enjoy your games. Thank you for making them. Keep it up. think they're great. Have a nice day. And if I got to hang out with him, maybe there are things to talk about. But the last thing that I would ever want to do, like, if he was in a position where I could get in a line and walk up and say hello to him, I would do that. But I don't know if I would ever want to just like run up to him and be like, "Oh my God, you're Hideo Kojima. I love your games." Like, because first off, I don't know how much. I don't think he speaks that much English. I think he might understand a fair amount of English, but he normally doesn't talk. He doesn't speak in English very much.
Yeah.
And second off, like celebrities are just people living their lives, right? So, imagine if you were on your way to work and somebody just ran up to you and they were just like, "Oh my God, stop what you're doing and pay attention to me."
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a thing where like I've been at, like, I worked at a comic shop for a long period of time, and it was a comic shop here in Austin that a lot of somewhat famous people would sometimes go to, like Robert Rodriguez would stop by, and sometimes wrestlers from WWE would stop by when they're in town and things like that. And there were a few times I'm like, oh shit, it's that person over there, and they're just looking for comics. I'm like, you know what?
Just be cool, man.
I'm not even gonna bother them if they have like, I work here. If they have a question, I'll answer it. But I ain't gonna be, and like I even kind of like had there people that were like, oh shit, that's Robert Rodriguez over there. We gotta go bother, like we gotta go say something. I was like, hey guys, he's just searching for comics. Let's
or you can tell
cool.
when somebody is open or yeah.
If you wanna be be like, hey, you're Robert Rodriguez, nice to meet you, but don't like go asking for pictures.
I would say that like if you do see somebody that you're really into, again, like if it seems like they're in a position where they're maybe not like if they're doing something, please don't stop them. But if they're in a socially acceptable position where you can talk to another person, to maybe walk up and just say like, "Hi, I really enjoy your work. Just thanks so much. Bye." And then if you will then know whether they are just going to go back to doing what they were doing or whether they want to have a conversation with you. Because like when I tried to have a conversation with Frank Miller, I was just he didn't want none of that. He didn't want none of that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, bye. I'm not interested in talking to you if you're not interested in talking to me. So. Anyway, speaking of being interested in talking, I think that we have come to the end of another Rage Select podcast. I feel like you and Matt should have a podcast where you just talk about the famous people that you meet, because both of you have met a lot more famous people than I have. So,
yeah, no,
okay. You don't want another podcast on your plate?
I mean, I've kind of I don't need another podcast. Look, I'm already trying to fight off other podcasts.
Why don't you tell them? Why don't you tell them where they can hear you on your podcast?
They can hear me on my podcast called Geek Bombast. It's a weekly pop culture geek podcast where we talk about comics, movies, TV, video games, anything else deemed totally awesome. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. All of those places you normally find podcasts, just do a search for Geek Bombast. If you want to go to our YouTube channel, which right now we just post episodes, we may have some other stuff pretty soon on there other than just the actual podcast episodes, but you can go to bit.ly/Geek Bombast, which thank you to Jeff for providing that little... I'm going to do it every time because you did it.
All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, so because we don't have an actual legit YouTube URL yet because we don't have 100 subscribers. So if you want to subscribe,
go subscribe
on YouTube,
like and subscribe, hit the bell, rate and review on iTunes. Also buy a Quip toothbrush, use off code Geek Bombast to get 10% off your first. No, that's
don't do that because that doesn't exist.
I'm kind of are you sure that Quip won't just give you 10% off? You just type anything. They're just like, sure, man. Have it.
I don't know. But yeah, go all those places. And like I said, we like the last episode we did just to give people to Amanda and I, it was just me and Amanda, and we talked about wrestling for the entire episode.
There you go.
We talked about the halftime heat that happened between, during the halftime show of the Super Bowl. We talked about the Royal Rumble and
all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, all that stuff. So we just lots of wrestling talk in the last episode. But then next week, the next episode, we'll talk about non-wrestling stuff. I have no idea what the next episode's topic is going to be about.
Right on. Mail@RageSelect.com is the email address if you want to send in your questions and get them answered. Make sure to go check out the Discord server. I'm going to go watch that Hobbs and Shaw trailer again.
Okay.
I'm going to do it right now on repeat.